Hey yo, welcome to another edition of 43.6, the sports podcast that you always wanted. I'm Dustin Perry, and I'm joined by James Key. Hello, James.
What up?
And Maddie Key. Hello, Maddie.
What's up?
We have a packed show for you today. We're going to talk about a lot of sports. We're going to talk about some things that don't have anything to do with sports, because that's what you get here on 43.6. Thank you for subscribing on all of the podcast platforms and also over on YouTube. Make sure you go to YouTube and type in 43.6 and subscribe there. We would greatly appreciate it. Hit the notification bell, hit all those things, hit likes on all the episodes. We greatly appreciate that. Today's episode is episode 21. It is brought to you by Now Your Treasures, but we will talk about them a bit later. But first, on this episode, we're going to be talking about baseball fan etiquette, a big preview of the NFL season that is a mere days away from starting. Our boy CM Punk is in the news, and we have top fives. And today, based on some feedback of something that I had said last week, our top five today is going to be top five chip flavors, which goes hand in hand with the NFL, as though I'm sure everyone is going to be sitting on the couch watching all the football this season, not just the season, but specifically this weekend. And usually there's a bag of chips to accompany this sort of occasion. So we're going to get you set for the NFL season, not just with our picks and our potential Super Bowl winners, but also with what you should be eating while watching NFL football. But first, before we get to all that, I want to hear what you guys have been up to. It has been a week since we have gathered around these microphones, and I'm sure there's something that has happened in the past week in your life, and I would like to hear about it, James.
Sure. It's, as you know, it's the first week of school, and my daughter is going to her first day of school, so she's excited. I feel like they're gonna have to like escort me away from the school probably. It's like, that sounds bad. I probably shouldn't have said that. That sounds terrible.
Yeah, you sound creepy.
That did sound really bad.
You're excited is what you meant to say.
Yeah, it's like, you know, it's not just different for the kids from the pandemic going to school. It's different for the parents too, right? Because you spend all this time with your kid. It's kind of hard to see them off into the world a little bit. So, and I mean, I work, so it's like mathematically, it's really no different. It's just the idea that she's not with family. She's kind of like, yeah, like out in the world, you know? So took her to Chuck E. Cheese on Sunday to kind of give her like a one last cool thing of the summer. Like, you know, hey, keep her spirits up. Just, you know, we've tried to stay excited about school and she's been excited about it, but, you know, did the Chuck E. Cheese gimmick. And I think I played more games than she did. Sorry?
Skee ball?
No, man, we gamed the system on this one game that's like a claw and it goes into the water and it grabs like, it's supposed to be gold, but they're different colors and different sizes, and then it brings it onto a tray and weighs it, and if you get over a certain weight, they give you 100 tickets. Where most games give you an average of 10 per play. So we found this game, and there's 4 claws, and the things go around the water, right? The one claw we found was way more open than the rest of them, so we were just cleaning up on tickets. And I thought, like, if I had dedicated my time to that when I got there, I would have got all the big prizes. For sure. So, game the system at Chuck E. Cheese a little bit.
So I think it's worth noting, just because I typed in Chuck E. Cheese into Google and hit search this area as I scrolled out of Ontario. And there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 7 locations from here to Cleveland. So if you're not aware of Chuck E. Cheese, it's like this really... I mean, it was awesome when we were kids. I don't know, James, now you've been there as an adult, if your opinion has changed. But it's basically an arcade with animatronic mice who, like, sing a song. And
there's a guy in the suit.
There.
Guy in the suit now.
Oh, is no more animatronics anymore?
No, Five Nights at Freddy killed that.
Oh, that makes sense.
No, I think there's animatronics at the one at Shepherd. We went to the one in Vaughan, and there was no animatronics, just a video screen, and then the guy dressed as Chucky comes out. Chuck E. Cheese, not Chucky the doll. Comes out and like celebrates, blows the candles out with you, delivers pizza. Like, it's a whole thing. So
Yo, Chuck E. Cheese pizza, good or bad?
If you don't like Little Caesars, you're not gonna like Chuck E. Cheese. They're basically the same. but my kid wants to have her birthday there now, so that's heads up. That's where we're having her birthday, is Chuck E. Cheese. And then that night on Sunday,
I'm gonna rock so many kids at some of these games. Like, I'm gonna go full compete mode.
dude, there were parents playing all over the place. Like, I'm pretty sure, and it's probably some I didn't even see with a kid. So it could be that they were just like, "This is a fun day out for me." But then that evening, I went to my first ever TFC game.
Nice.
Well, not nice. I was 10 minutes late because the traffic downtown was absolute fucking garbage. And wait, actually, I'll take that
we
back.
talked about this last week.
no,
I was gonna say following up from last week.
No, I'm going to take that back. The traffic getting to Wellington and Strawn was fine. Then there, okay, first of all, trying to make the left on Strawn from Wellington, and everything would have been fine, except this guy in a taxi hit a bunch of black dudes in a Tesla. So
Was that the picture you sent me?
no, that's a different. I'll get to that after. So everything's backed up because number one, anyone who owns a Tesla freaks out if you touch it the wrong way, let alone hit it, right? Like freaks out. You look at a Tesla the wrong way, it's like catcalling a woman in 2022. Like it's absolute freak out. And then there's 5 black dudes who are losing their mind on this guy, this taxi guy. So they're holding up traffic. So I have to go around them in the other lane, making a left turn. Then take a right onto East Liberty, because, got to park somewhere, walk to the grounds, and everything's back. There's a guy just lying in front of a car. I shared a picture of it. I'm not going to put it up today, but there was just a guy just lying in front of a car.
Wait,
I'll
I'll
post it in the Discord for you, Dustin, as he talks about the story.
Okay, so you parked on East Liberty, I assume probably near local in that like little.
So I went to go to the Green Pea that's near bar local, packed.
Right.
So it takes 2 seconds to get into that parking lot, 15 minutes to get out, because everybody's trying to find a spot and then gives up. I ended up parking at the Metro because for 4 hours it was only $11. I'm like, this makes way more sense. So
Right, that's value. As we get into the NFL season, that's value.
But then speaking of value, so I'm 10 minutes late for the game. I hear 2 loud cheers and 2 sets of fireworks, which means I've missed the 2 TFC goals. And I meet my buddy at the gate, JP, shout out JP. And first of all, I got to say this. It's very easy to get into BMO. Like the process of getting to your seat is very easy. Like it's not super congested. Like it was very smooth. The stairs up to our seats were relatively quick. It was comfortable. I actually really enjoyed BMO. Like I think it's fantastic. I've never been there. This is my first time.
I have my issues with BMO Field, but it can be a lot better
compared
but
to
it's not
going to
horrible.
Rogers Center and feeling like you can't move or what. Like there's sufficient space to feel like you can breathe watching this game, right? So we were 23 rows up, looked fantastic, loved walking down to the paddock to be like field level, like all that kind of stuff was cool. And then as I sit down, I say to my buddy who I'm with, I go, man, like there's usually 1 goal scored in a football game. We missed 2. That's probably it, right? And then I jokingly said, man, I hope they don't lose 3-2. That would be terrible. TFC lost 4-3. So I did get to see the one Insigne goal at the end, but after the whole experience, I've been telling people TFC, dollar for dollar, is the best value sport in the city of Toronto. Bar none.
I've been saying it too.
There is no better sport experience for your dollar than the city. The action is always happening. The people are invested. We paid $95. We sat 20 rows up. The game doesn't delay. Like it's a 15-minute half. So it's not like you're waiting long for the next, like things are moving. The Italian dudes, Bernadeschi and Insigne, are fantastic to watch. Dude, I'm sold. Like I'm probably going to get seasons next year because they're affordable. So I actually might get a pair of seasons next year because I had a fucking blast. I bought a scarf. I'm a scarf guy now. I have a TFC scarf.
Jim's now scarf guy. He's excited for
hold it up during the anthem though. I guess you were too late to show up, but yeah.
Dude, it was just like I have nothing bad to say about and getting out of BMO from where we sat in section 105 to which is right by the gates. Like literally, I can look over my seat to the gates. Getting
by
out.
Gate, you mean gate 1 that's facing northbound?
Yeah. Getting out of BMO was a breeze. We walked right out. No congestion, whatever. The only congestion happened at the tunnel to go to Liberty. That was the only congestion.
So that used to not be a nightmare. That's only happened this past year where they started like putting in all these guardrails, and it's like if you're going to eastbound trains, you have to go to this line. If you go to westbound trains, you have to go to that line. It used to just be a mass of people walking towards the stairs, and you walk down the stairs and you figure it out. Like I'm going westbound, I go left, I go, but now they have all these stupid like funnels of putting people in different places and no one knows where to go. It is a mess trying to get out of BMO Field if you're going to Liberty Village or to the GO train. If you're taking the streetcar, it's fine. If you park on the south side and you just hop on Lakeshore, it's totally fine. But yeah, it was just like past the village and stuff.
Of all the sporting events that I've been to, and I've been to multiple Leaf games, multiple J games, Argos games, Raptors games. This was the most top to bottom enjoyable experience because it was not like I didn't have enough time to waste a shit ton of money on food or beer. I didn't like it, and you just chill, you talk, you enjoy the game, and then you leave. Like it was just very relaxing almost. Being outside, perfect evening, cool night. It was incredible. Like the experience sold me on seasons.
Not to mention that this past weekend would have been the last weekend of the X. So had you got there early,
dude, the X, Nas and Wu-Tang were playing, and My Chemical Romance was at Scotiabank. Like everything that could have gone on was going on, and I like a fucking moron, I decided to drive.
Yeah, but that's also because public transit is worse. Like I understand the convenience of it, but just the idea of public transit, because comparatively to the rest of the world, our subway system and transit system is absolute shit.
It's definitely not up to par of a city the size of Toronto. I will definitely give you that. But there are days where if I'm going from, and it depends where you're coming from, right? But like if I'm at Union Station and I need to get to
Finch, it's easy.
Need to get to BMO Field, like hopping on the GO train, it runs every 15 minutes and it's like
the GO train is I'm talking TTC. The GO train is different. Well,
what I'm saying is the GO train. So again, from Union. So if you TTC to Union and then take the GO train from Union to
But the TTC
Exhibition,
is the problem.
No, we're not talking. Because GO is not like the typical public transit. Like that's commuter transit. Like I classify that separately. I'm talking about Toronto proper, TTC.
The Toronto Transit Commission sucks balls. Like it is just
only talking TTC. Yes, it sucks to take this streetcar to BMO. Yes.
Yeah, but
yes,
the GO train is fantastic. It's smooth, spacious. It's great.
Yeah. The GO train doesn't count because that's like luxury commuter travel. That doesn't count.
But all I'm saying is it's $1 more. It cost me like $4.30 to go from Union Station to Exhibition, whereas the TTC would cost you what, $3.25 or whatever?
Right, but if you're taking transit to get into Union, that's the $3.50 to get into that plus the extra to get on the GO. So you're paying like $10.
Sure, it all depends on where you started and where you're going, right?
But anyway, I can't recommend it enough. And even if you're not into soccer, football, or whatever, like give it a shot. Like I wasn't, and maybe it started with Ted Lasso and now it's ending in TFC seasons. But like, there's just there's. I used to shit on it a lot growing up, but being there live convinced me there is something magical in the game of soccer that you can't describe. I don't know what it is. Maybe I was watching Insigne completely frustrated that his team couldn't complete a pass to him. And feeling that pain because you're right there and you think like, man, I could have kicked that to him. But yeah, It's I don't know. It was just so cool. It was so enjoyable.
Maddie,
Comments on that or what my week was?
your week.
So mine is, and for those who know me, know this is a big event. It happens roughly once every 6 months, sometimes longer, a year.
It's when you take a bath.
No, I'm a clean freak. Jim
He takes
knows
2
this. I'm a
showers a
clean
day.
freak.
He takes 2 showers.
Yeah, I take
If
like
there's
2 or
a
3
world,
showers a day.
if there's a world water problem, he's contributing, like for sure.
Yeah. Like I shower 3 times a day. And like I remember when my wife and me were dating, she would come over and she's a morning shower and I'm a night shower because I like to be clean in my bed. Like my bed is my safe space. She'd come over and she'd lay in bed. I'd be like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Well, we're going to sleep." I was like, "No, you were just out all day." She's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Go shower." I was like, "You're not getting in my bed being out all day interacting with people." Like I'm a clean freak. So no, not that. I got my hair cut. It's a traumatic experience for me. Um, I have an absolutely gorgeous, luscious, natural wavy head of hair. So when I cut it, it's like angels cry. And like Jim's got the same kind of head of hair because obviously we come from the same stock, but it's like
This is like
it's hard.
This is like those things, you know, when someone's like says, "I'm a nice person," they're usually not. Like, you can't say the thing. Like, you have to have other people tell you. Like, you can't be like, "My skin
Yeah.
is so nice." Like,
Like every hairdresser I ever had would say that there's people specifically, and
but
I
then
don't
bring
know if
them
this is a
on.
compliment. Oh yeah, I know. I should get the Fang on here, but they were like, women would kill for your head of hair, and I'm just see that to me is the ultra compliment, right? But I got my hair cut. It's even though Dustin's like it's still long. Just when we first popped on here, that's not the point. The point is that shit is it's traumatic because I love my hair so much. I don't have a lot of redeeming qualities physically in terms of like aesthetics. My hair is like maybe the only thing. So it's hard for me to do it. But so we got the haircut, you know, I lived with it. It's because I'm doing it. I'm seeing the wife's family in Korea when we go, and I wanted to look as good as possible in terms of, you know, cleaned up hair and not as long and of a mess. So yeah, so that was that.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Are they going to be concerned with the tattoos?
Yeah.
Man's got to wear a long sleeve.
No, I have to wear a long sleeve when I go to her dad's, like to her parents, which are
Right.
up in like northern Ontario. Because he's very traditional. Mom doesn't care, she knows. The dad only knows that I have my left arm done. I've since had my chest and my right arm done, and he
Right.
doesn't know. So I only go out there in the winter when I can wear hoodies or long sleeves and cover it up.
Good
But
thing you guys don't shower together.
yeah, we just don't shower together. But when we went to Korea in 2018, we saw her grandmother, which is his mom, and she flattered. She's like, "Oh, he's just being ridiculous. Don't worry about it." She's like, "It's fine." And I think he's kind of over it now. I think it was initially because when he first saw it threw him off, and he was like, "No, you have to break up with him now." And she's like, "Well, no." But I think like now it just doesn't really matter, and especially with like a grandkid on the way, he's probably like, "Who gives a shit?" in his head. But
Yeah.
you know, it is what it is. But yeah, no, doing that and then getting ready for our Korean baseball game. We bought our tickets. So I'm gonna be doing that. And then also as Jimmy alluded to, um, talking to my niece as I get trying to help her get excited for school when I saw her on the weekend. I think she's more excited for all like the cool stuff she gets to be like, I got this notebook or my lunch pails, like things
Yeah.
like that. Um, and it's funny to hear all these people talk about their kids like first day back to school or like this is their first day of school because like we've got a couple other friends that you know both Jimmy and me mutual and me with like other people where it's like it's their kids' first time at school and you know it's it's a weird like experience seeing it knowing that I'm going to experience it at some point very very soon. So Yeah, like I'm just like kind of absorbing it in as people talk about it to be like, because in my head I'm like, you're all pussies. They're like, it's gonna be so sad. And I'm like pussies, and knowing
Yeah.
that the day that my daughter goes, I'm gonna be reaching out the window, be like, no.
Yep.
So yeah, no, that and then just living. Livin.
You were on a
What about
trip.
you, big guy? Like
This guy.
Dustin, I know you had a weekend or like a week.
Yeah, like
Yeah, it was a weekend. So on Saturday, myself, my buddy Adam, and Brad Myers all jumped in a car and we drove to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to see the Toronto Blue Jays take on the Pittsburgh Pirates.
you know what's weird? You
And
weren't the only Canadian people I know that I knew there.
Yeah.
Someone I used to work with on Aftermath for the score, like one of the other interns, like she was there too with her husband, which was crazy.
dude, when I walked in and we, like, I guess we just immediately went around to home plate and just took a, the nice shot of the Pittsburgh landscape the Pittsburgh skyline, I should say, right behind right behind the outfield, essentially. Someone sitting right at that spot was this girl I used to work with. I'm like, okay, we got to go. I don't want to talk to this person. But that's how crazy it was, where it was like a home game. Like you're running into people, like there are
Why is
significantly more Blue Jays fans than there
But
were
why
Pirates
Pittsburgh?
fans.
It's not hard to get to.
Yeah, it's not hard to get to. It's only like a 4-hour drive from Toronto, and I mean less technically if you live like southwestern Ontario, right? Or
It's only a
southeastern Ontario.
4-hour drive?
Dude, Philly was a 10-hour drive for us.
It was 4 and a bit, but yeah, but Philly's like all like way farther southeast.
Again, I was also like 16 when we went to Philly, so
I just
Honestly,
remember Smash like going, that guy's from Pittsburgh, it's too far. But then we would book guys from Cleveland.
well, it's because Cleveland's like you could throw a rock from Canada.
No, but
into
Cleveland's the same distance. Time.
It's I mean, okay, so the trip that I did was Toronto to Pittsburgh, and then right after that game,
You
we
went to
got in a
Cleveland.
car and drove to Cleveland. And then
He's Chris Farley. He's like back into Chicago. Wayne's World.
and then on the way home was Cleveland to Toronto. And honestly, it was pretty much the same amount of time, whether you're
So,
coming from Cleveland or you're
was all
coming from
bullshit.
Pittsburgh to Toronto. It's 4.5 hours.
So I think
Probably
Adam
not 4.
Cole.
It's
I
more
think
like
Adam
4.5 to 5 hours.
Isn't Adam
But
Cole from
either way,
Pittsburgh?
whether you're going to Cleveland or whether you're going to Pittsburgh, it's 4.5 to 5 hours.
But isn't Adam Cole from Pittsburgh?
I don't know where I assume he's from Florida. The Pittsburgh guys that I think you're talking about, I remember Facade was Pittsburgh.
But I think somebody else was too.
I know you're talking about. I know there's a number of times where there's a Pittsburgh guy that came up, but yeah, it was always like, oh, Pittsburgh's too far.
But I think they drove to Philadelphia to go with the Philadelphia car.
Well, then you're going way out of the way if that's the case. I
Right.
guess it also depends on not necessarily where they are from. Because Smash would always run on a Sunday, right? So it has more to do with where were they the night before.
True.
So if they're from Pittsburgh and they are working in Philadelphia the night before, it's like, well, yeah, Philly to Toronto is like more than 8-hour drive, like 9-hour drive almost. So anyways, we were in Pittsburgh for the Blue Jays game, which essentially was a home game. It was a lot of fun. PNC Park is really nice, as everyone says it is.
Never heard that, but okay.
Yeah, no one's ever heard that one before. I ended up getting some chicken wings from the concession stands, which took forever and a day. I think the management of the concessions in Pittsburgh wasn't expecting it to be a lot of Blue Jays fans,
I'm not serving these fucks.
which doesn't make sense because I feel like they should have access to like
Ticket
advanced
sales?
ticket numbers, and
Yeah.
they would know that they're going to sell more than 6,000 tickets that they normally average in Pittsburgh. I'm looking through my book to see if how much the attendance was. I still don't think it was a huge attendance, but I'm sure it was more than what they normally get for Pittsburgh, and that's why it ended up being a bit of a mess. It was 23,568.
Pittsburgh's one of those franchises where I want them to do well. I feel like they have all the external pieces, oddly, to do well. They just, every time they get decent players, they just trade them off or they leave. But right now, like O'Neal Cruz and Rodolfo Castro. Like those are good pieces. I want that. I don't know why. I want them to do well.
Well, what was interesting before the game, they did this like Hall of Fame induction ceremony. So like, not necessarily like Major League Baseball Hall of Fame, but these are some of the best players to ever play for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and we're inducting them to our.
No idea who they were.
Well, there was some of them who I knew who they were, but it was clear and evident that there isn't a lot of players that have had major Hall of Fame careers for Pittsburgh in recent memory. Of course, there's Honus Wagner and Willie Stargell and like all these guys. Like, sure,
but there's like very little legacy players.
Barry Bonds.
But Barry Bonds' legacy wasn't in Pittsburgh. That's what I'm saying. Like,
No,
there's very little Pittsburgh-bred legacy players.
like I guess in recent memory, the only guy is like Jason Bay.
Maybe Andrew McCutchen.
Yeah, maybe.
Well,
is
but he had
McCutchen
his
going to go in
best
the Hall of
years
Fame?
there. He's not going to the Hall of Fame.
Is Jason Bay going in the Hall of Fame?
Probably
In the
not.
Canadian,
Right,
probably in
yeah.
the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame, because they need people in there.
Right, so that's what I mean, it's just they do have a very nice ballpark, but that's about all you can say about the Pittsburgh Pirates for the past 20 years or 30 years, I guess it is now. There was a Rib Fest going on too, so we got to and the Rib Fest was just down the street from where PNC Park was, and it was right in front of Heinz Field. That is now called something else, but no one's ever going to call it anything but Heinz Field.
Well, it's like
And we got to,
Skydome for us.
Yeah, exactly. We got to walk into Heinz Field or walking around the concourse, and really cool looking building. It was unfortunate that it was Steelers, and I'm a Ravens fan as I drink out of my Ravens teacup or tea mug, I guess you would call it.
Pussy.
What? Baltimore
What?
Ravens.
What?
Go Ravens. Anyways, the next day we went to Cleveland. Oh, actually, the weirdest thing happened in Pittsburgh, but you know what? We'll come back to that. Put a pin in that. The weirdest thing that happened all road trip. The next day we went to Cleveland and we got 3 innings into this game until it just rained for the rest of the day. And so we left. So that actually leads me to one of the things I want to ask you guys about. How long would you stay at a baseball game if it's in rain delay?
10 minutes.
35 minutes.
All jokes aside, half an hour.
Yeah.
And if
half an
it's
hour.
still pouring, if it's signs that it's clearing up and then weather's probably over in the next 5 minutes, you're good. Okay, I'll stay around. But if by 30 minutes it's still pissing rain out, fuck it. I'm not.
The difference is too, back in the day, you didn't have your cell phone that would project when the rain's going to stop. You can look at your cell phone and be like, yeah, it's supposed to stop in the next half hour. It's not going to stop till tomorrow, right?
Yeah. But why? How long did you stay? 5 hours? If you did, you're a pussy.
So the game was delayed 5 hours.
Oh,
Ish. I think it was in rain delay for almost 5 hours. We sat, so our seats was really close to field level. And it wasn't until I watched a video on Twitter when I realized, okay, this is not resuming anytime soon. So Brad and I stayed in our seats for an hour. We had rain ponchos. We didn't care.
you're poncho guy?
Well, I was only a poncho guy in that day. The Airbnb garbage can now has my rain poncho.
Okay.
I bought a $7 rain poncho at Walmart before the game started. But we were sitting there in our ponchos, just determined. We were gonna wait this out. And it got to a point where it was, we have waited so long, we can't leave now. We've dug our heels in. This is it. This is our line in the sand. We're not moving. Until I stuck my face into my poncho like this, and I was looking at my cell phone, trying to get an update, because in the stadium there was no updates at all. Very useless situation at Progressive Field. Also, sidebar, Progressive Field, awesome. Progressive Field might be my number one so far of all ballparks I've been to, even over PNC. And it's mainly because of how, James was saying earlier, about how BMO Field doesn't feel like you're too cramped and it feels like you got room to move. And it was very big and wide open, the concessions area and the concourse. It was so huge.
Dude,
I never felt like I was bumping into people.
Even looking at your photos from PNC, the space is so much bigger than Rogers Center. The Rogers Center fucking sucks. I don't care.
Oh, yeah.
It's a terrible experience to enjoy a sports game at that facility.
Well, hopefully they're
Interestingly
changing
enough,
that.
yeah. So interestingly enough, at Progressive Field, they have those elevated bullpens.
Well, that's why,
And-
but that's from Shapiro. He redid that stadium.
Exactly. So it was cool. With that lens, it was cool looking around and saying, okay, I understand now what Ross and Mark are talking about, what they want to do to the Rogers Center, because I'm here at Progressive Field and I can see what they had done previously. And it's actually really cool when you see those bullpens and how close the fans can get to the players and just like yell obscenities at them.
Oh yeah,
Really cool.
like I can't wait till that's done, because I'm a heckler, and not like a rude heckler. Like I'm not one of those guys where it's like, I saw the article where your wife's banging this other dude. Like not like that, but more of just like, I'll find something about a guy's name. You know, me and my buddy once went to a game and we were in right field, and it's Oakland and Toronto, and Gentry was in the right field. He was right fielder. We literally sat there for about 7.5 innings, just yelling, "Hey, Gentry!" for 7.5 innings. Finally, in the 8th inning, he comes out, he laughs. He's like, "It's been a while, guys." He's like, "Good on you for sticking to it." So, like, just stupid shit, not anything rude or obscene or anything like that. So, I can't wait, right? Like, I can't wait watching some of those bullpen guys, like, you know, maybe a huskier pitcher, and he's going in for like a second bag and nuts and being like, "Do you really need that? Do you really need it?" kind of thing. But he's a professional athlete making like 30 sheets a year, so he's gonna be like, "Fuck you."
So as I was sitting in my poncho, looking at my cell phone underneath my poncho,
Poncho guy.
I ended up pulling up a video of Bally Sports, like the broadcasters who were doing the game were talking about the conditions of the field, and there was like massive puddles in the warning track. And they were saying, yeah, this is not happening anytime soon. Like it's going to take hours for the rain, A, to rain to stop, and B, for the grounds crew to be able to like clean up these puddles and make it somewhat safe enough for the players to play. So after about an hour or so, we finally said we'll go home, and we went and got some tacos at an awesome taco place, and then we watched AEW pay-per-view, which I guess we're going to talk about at the end of the show because there's a lot that happened at the end of that AEW pay-per-view. But what I wanted to put a pin into was something that happened at PNC Park, and this is messed up, man. So we're sitting there watching this game, and like as the game goes on, and it seemed like Pittsburgh was done for, people started leaving, obviously. The people behind us had some chips or nacho chips and cheese. I don't know how much of it they ate. If I had to guess, I would say they ate like 25% of it.
Oh, I know where
Like the
this is
cheese
going.
had been dipped into.
I know where
Okay.
this is going.
It was on the floor
No,
in the plastic gimmick that it comes in.
no, you leave it.
And it was a clear day, no rain, wasn't windy.
You're
nothing
George
like-
Costanza.
Like Costanza, like the eclair sitting on top of the magazine.
Yeah. Dustin didn't do it. He watched somebody do it.
I saw a man, and I say man, he was probably like 18, 19 years old, but still a man by like definition. He like jumped over 2 rows of seats, picked up the nachos, and brought them back up to where he was sitting, and munched on those nachos for the rest of the game.
That means he was eyeing those up. He was like, if no one comes for those,
dude,
I'm gonna go get them.
That requires a scout. That's a scouting assignment, right? Like
Yeah.
that is you're the European scout and you're going on a tour and you've got your eye on this guy. Like that requires prep, planning,
Yeah.
execution.
You have a full breakdown, a dossier. You have a scouting report.
So he goes and he just full swoop right in. Like how long did he wait till after they
Now
left?
I don't know if he dipped into the cheese because I
How
wasn't
long?
like he was behind us. He was like 2 or 3 rows.
How
behind
long
us.
did he wait?
So he originally made one.
Did he make a
overture
pass?
He went over and picked it up and kind of looked around, and then like someone in his row. I don't know if it was his dad, but it was the elder statesman of the group, who was like, "Yo, put that down. Like they might come back. Not put it down because it's gross." He was like, "Put it down. They might come back." Like it wasn't like 100% clear that these people had.
Well, at
left
least there was
yet,
a
or they just,
moral conundrum.
And I don't know if he was just saying that because he didn't want to embarrass the kid. But either way, like you're saying, put it down. And then like 2 or 3 innings later, when they didn't come back to their seats, he took the opening to just take the chips.
You know what happened? The older statesman, as it were, was like, "Hey, put those down. They may come back, right?" And then he gets back to the seat and he's like, "No, son, you don't just run up there right away and go and take the food. You gotta wait. You gotta scout out the surrounding area. You gotta wait and see if they're gonna come back. Because then if they're not, then it's fair game. But you have to give them the time to come." You know, it was something like that. Like he's educating his son on like the wild hunt.
They blame some Asian dude eating a bat for COVID. No, it's this fucking guy eating somebody else's nachos off the ground.
This is how you know we're out of the woods of people caring about COVID.
Well, like also too,
COVID's no longer an issue to anybody anymore if this man's eating some other person's chips like 2 seats in front of him.
But like we also discussed a dude using a hot dog as a straw. And like that went viral on sports media, like sports Twitter and internet and shit like that, right? But this dude is robbing pre-eaten nachos. I would say if he didn't dip the cheese though, that's a bigger affront. Like at that point, you're all in, go for it. And if you don't, you just lack commitment and you lack the drive and the focus.
No,
you don't have a killer instinct.
I feel like the cheese holds a certain amount of moisture from like I don't feel like, because the cheese is the repetitive area. You don't take the same chip multiple times, but you dip into the same chip. You dip into the same pool of gross amoeba like multiple times.
I would agree that, okay, either way it's gross.
Yeah.
But it's significantly more gross if you dip into the cheese.
Oh, I don't know, you just see people clammy ass hands all over that food even for 30 seconds and it's just,
dude, what if some dude picked his ass and then took a chip? Like, you don't know.
Picked his ass?
Right?
What if there was a reason why they left the chips behind?
Yeah, like what if
they were eating the chips and then they discovered, wait a minute, this cheese has gone bad. Or maybe they said, oh shoot, I forgot to wash my hands after I just changed my son's diaper. And then they put the chips down and said, fuck, I shouldn't eat this ever again because I may have just like delivered some sort of mouth disease to myself.
Well, or this, considering the history that we've just seen both in Oakland and in Toronto, what if he's like fooling around with his wifey and he's like, well, and touch the chips and she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, good point, and puts him down.
So many things.
There's questions. We need answers. We got to find this guy.
The worst thing about it is that he was wearing a Blue Jays jersey.
Oh,
it wasn't even like, it wasn't even like he was a local Pittsburghian. I don't know if that's what you call the people in Pittsburgh or not. But he clearly had made the trip.
I think they're called burgers.
It's too easy.
I don't know.
But you're right. I know there's a lot more questions than answers, and I would like to ask this person some questions about just their etiquette of life. But there was also another baseball etiquette story that I think we need to discuss as well. Now, this didn't happen on my road trip. This is literally one of the stories that is on the list of things to talk about today. There was a video circulating around from last week. It was when the Red Sox were playing the Minnesota Twins in Minnesota. And it wasn't until I think today where John Boy did a breakdown of it. And if you don't follow John Boy, you're missing out. You should check out John Boy on Twitter and John Boy Media. They're the funniest guys in sports broadcasting today. And James, I think are you pulling up the video?
Yeah, I can pull it right now.
Okay, so I'll give the broad strokes, and James may have to walk you through it because I can't see the actual video. But generally speaking, what has happened here? A home run ball has been hit into the spectators area, and the ball very clearly hits up against this woman's leg, and she kind of like puts her legs together to trap the ball. But out of nowhere, like he's Randy Orton, my guy wearing the Boston Red Sox gray jersey. So that's another red flag. If a man's wearing a gray baseball jersey.
Gray jersey guy.
Gray jersey Red Sox guy dives right in between her legs and rips that ball out. And then when he gets the ball, he gets up and celebrates as if he just made the most miraculous catch of a home run ball. He's like Zach Hampel on drugs. And if you don't know who Zach Hampel is, I wish I was you. So the question to you guys, and I know that we can go a long way with this conversation because I have very strong feelings about, etiquette of catching a foul ball or a home run ball in this case. And I'll let you guys discuss, and I'll go over what my criteria is for a normal human being when it comes to this thing. But this guy should be sentenced to prison, right? Like this was dog shit, right?
Oh,
Dude,
100%.
it's not even the fact that he celebrates. He celebrates with the guy next to him. Like it's so like it's embarrassing. It's like that dude who was trying to get over the kid for the autograph. Remember that video?
Yes.
It's the same thing. Like this woman, like for all intents and purposes, has that ball. If I'm holding like anything between my feet and you take it from me, you took it from me. Like I even had to say "take it from me" in the sentence. Like it's just embarrassing. And then you Selly? like
Yeah, like it's. I'm always a big believer if like a foul ball is coming and 2 or 3 people are jumping up for it and you catch it, yeah, celebrate. Or if you make like a crazy catch with that dude who did it with his beer, who caught it in his beer cup, and yeah, go ahead, Selly. But something like that, you just look like the biggest loser, just a failure at life. Like that's your highlight. That you some broad who had the ball already, and you're like, no, that's mine. And dive your hand in there. I'm sorry. And the fact that the dude she's with did nothing.
ooh, that's a bigger offside. That's a massive
that's
offside.
So we're also assuming that the dude that she was sitting beside has anything to do with her.
But
Probably did. Like,
Yeah.
You don't usually see
Rando girl's not going to a baseball game sitting in that seat by herself.
I mean, generally speaking, you don't see a solo person going to a baseball game by themselves. Anyways, it's usually something you bring a friend along to.
Yeah.
she very clearly says, "Hey," and like usually that's a cue for most people to be like, "What? What did I like?" Even go, "What did I do wrong?" And then give her the opportunity to be like, "That was mine." Instead, he just full on, like, turns his
You went
back.
full hero.
Yeah, full like almost. Who do you think you are? I am. So like, that's how heavy this dude was. It's just grimy, man.
I feel like in that situation, based on like where he's grabbing the ball from, I think she's totally within her rights to like throw elbows and like
Yeah.
just completely crack him right in the nose.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
she doesn't know what he's doing in her lap right now. She's like, "What? Like I have a stranger touching me right now.
Yeah.
Like get the fuck away from me."
The other thing too is, isn't it customary if you're on the foul lines that the ball boys give to children and women first? Like the balls, they don't give it to dudes.
Yeah, it's like when a boat is sinking, it goes to them.
Unless you're that dick bag on the Titanic from the movie
Billy Zane?
Billy Zane. But this
yeah,
guy's
no,
this
you're
guy's the
right.
Billy Zane of that
Yeah,
game.
he's the Billy Zane of the Red Sox field'em. The home run hero in the Red Sox fandom. But, you're right. They usually ball boys toss to like the kids first, or, the cute girls that are down by the foul line. Like that's protocol. Or you'd be like those kids you see every now and then who get the ball that's a foul ball catch, and he turns around and he tosses it. He like celebrates and he tosses it to the pretty girl who's like 15 years older than him, knowing that kid is gonna slay when he gets older. But
It's a
it's
bargaining chip.
yeah. I honestly, 2 things, like Jim said, and you said, she's well within her right to start knuckle chucking at that point, elbows, even drive a knee in the guy's face as he gets
Slam
down
the
there.
hot dog in his face. No one's gonna think twice.
Yeah, or I'm already a bit of like an anger head. I know that. Like there's certain things that set me off real quick. That's one of them. If that was me and like my wife sitting there and that happened and that dude, he's drawing back a stump because I would have ripped his arm off. And
I'd
the
put him-
fact that that guy's just like, what's going on?
No, full on 2009 Undertaker Royal Rumble, 2 hands on the back of the shirt, right over the top, right onto the field. Just see ya, pal.
To be fair to the guy in the video, like the guy who was beside the woman who essentially got assaulted for this baseball, to be fair to him, he may have just been shocked. Like both of them were probably just like, what the fuck just happened? Like, did a human adult just do that to us? So it's possible that's why he didn't immediately react throwing knuckles, because he was just shocked that just even happened.
Maybe. Yeah,
Also, we don't want Chris Rock going on stage being like, my man's hit this other dude over a baseball.
yeah,
That's
true.
also and that's also another point, and that's kind of where I'm coming back to now. Where if it was me, I don't care about the baseball.
No.
Like, if you
Dude,
want
if
me
it
to
was
cool.
me,
baseball,
I would literally
Take
have,
it.
I would have pulled it up and then given it to her. Like, it's just a fucking baseball. Chances are the guy, like, have you looked at the Red Sox roster and their record? Chances are that baseball is worth fuck all.
No, they probably, honestly, you would have to pay them
hit-
for them to be like, it's
Who hit the
worth
home run? Do we know? I forget.
I don't know, but even if it was Rafael Devers, would it matter?
No, because he's not making the Hall. Like, they're not winning anything with his team. Like, what are you going to be like? Is that dude going to look back in 20 years and be like, man, remember when I reached into that girl's legs and pulled that home run ball from Rafael Devers? What a great night. Like, you fucking moron. Like, that's gross. Whatever.
If there's ever a situation where I'm catching a foul ball or home run ball, I'm just immediately handing it to the nearest kid. Like,
Yeah, kid
there's
or
never.
Depends.
broad who's there
No,
with her friends.
that
No, I
depends.
wouldn't even give it to a girl. Like, I don't
That
think she gives
depends.
a shit about it. Like, it should. I mean, girl, like if you're a child, like you have to be
That
a
depends.
child.
That depends.
Man or woman, I don't care. It has to
No.
go to a kid.
No.
I'm
Who
not
hits
giving it
it?
to some girl
No.
I find attractive. What's that going to do?
That depends. If it's if
How
you
much game
caught
you got?
Jose Batista's bat flip, you're giving it to a kid?
Okay. So
That's a long delay.
no. Okay. So in that situation, if we're talking about a
Joe Carter.
Hall of Fame player, a huge moment in professional sports history, if it was me and I caught that ball, I would give it to the player who did that cool thing.
Yes.
I don't care to keep the ball. I think the player would want
You're
the
gonna
ball
get
more than
something in return.
It's not even like getting something in return. He's like, I don't care about these
Take a
things.
picture with the ball. Hey, I caught it. You tossed it
Exactly.
to someone. Yeah.
You take a picture with it, cool, and then you go down to the usher and be like, yo, I want to give this to the player after the game. All I would care to do is literally just hand it to him. Like, I would get personal satisfaction out of helping another human being. I don't need someone to give me something out of it.
Like that guy who
will
gave Tom Brady's ball. Remember that?
Yeah.
When who was
Like
it? Was it Godwin?
the last touchdown he ever threw, and he
was
spent
it the
like $500,000.
no the
on it.
record-setting one
Yeah.
where
There's
the
the
guy
record
threw it
setting
into
one.
the
Didn't
stand?
the receiver then like celebrate, throw it in the crowd, and the guy had it or some shit? And
Yeah.
then he gave it back to Brady or something.
Oh, so I was thinking of a different story where when
No,
Brady,
you're thinking of the guy
Yeah.
who bought Brady's final game ball for like $300K, and because Brady's like, I'm retiring, and he's like, this is gonna be
Right.
worth. And then Brady came out of retirement, and the value of that ball just tanked.
Yeah, it's
but-
just another
it's
ball.
a $15 ball.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just well, it's probably 15,000, but it's not 300,000.
I will
But-
say this:
Yeah.
if that was Cubs win World Series with a Chris Bryant walk-off home run, I'm not giving that ball back, not for free. Like if it's something like that, no, I'm being like 100K minimum. Let's go.
I collect
that's-
things, so that's the tough part for me. Like I collect things, so like I
I'm a
would want some.
collector.
Yeah, I'm a collector. That's I collect. I would want something in return. I would,
For that ball, yeah.
because under any circumstance, either I'm giving the ball to somebody else like you, or I'm keeping it. Right. So
If it's a bullshit nothing ball, yeah, it's getting tossed to some kid, or if it means something to the player that isn't like a big moment, like it's his first home run, then yeah, I'm tossing it back, going to the usher, being like, hey, can you get this to them? Whatever, I'll take a picture with it. Cool. But if it's an iconic moment, like historical moment, 100 years in the making, like the
Yeah.
Cubs. No way in hell am I not getting something out of that.
Yeah, you're
Okay,
giving
so
me signed
I just want
everything.
Like they're giving me a World
jerseys.
Series ring.
Yeah.
just so I'm clear, because you guys are saying things that may contradict, and I want to give you your option and ability to set the record straight. If it's a big, like meaningful ball, World Series ball, Joe Carter ball, Jose Bautista ball, whatever, and you are saying you're not going to give it to the player or a kid, would you grab it out of the legs of a woman beside you?
No, that's
I
a
would
different
give it
situation.
to the, I
'cause
would give
didn't
it to
go
a
up for it.
player. I would give it to a player, but they're giving me something in return.
Okay, fine. My question is, that ball that is worth something that you are going to get something from the player,
No.
would you grab it out of the legs
No.
of a woman beside you?
No, because I'm not a pig.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm not a pervert.
That's
Just wanted to make
different.
that-
Like,
I just wanted to give you the opportunity to make that
yeah,
clear.
no, that's different. Like that's not like people reaching over the thing
Yeah,
and
that's
snagging
pervert
it.
shit.
Yeah, like at that point, it's like you're like, how much? Essentially, is that ball worth a sexual assault charge?
Yeah. Right?
No, like
Maybe-
nothing
maybe
is worth
she'll
a
split-
sexual assault charge.
Maybe she'll
Well,
split the
speaking of-
memorabilia.
Speaking of sexual assault charges, the NFL is beginning this week. And
I just, oh god.
And the NFL kicks off on Thursday, which would be, I mean, I guess this podcast episode might go up tonight. But if you're watching on YouTube, it will be tomorrow night. The NFL officially begins as the Buffalo Bills are in Los Angeles to take on the Rams. And of course, on Sunday, we have a whole slate of football games. Interestingly enough, only the one game on Monday Night Football this week. Usually, like week one, they've been doing that doubleheader on Monday night, which I was a big fan of.
I loved it because like from like 6 o'clock till 12 o'clock, you got football.
It was
for
great.
6 hours. I could lay in bed, and the best thing is we record on Mondays, so we could have the game up and can live talk the game.
And
being played.
Manning cast. Love the Manning cast. So.
Manning cast, it is the smartest thing they did was having the Manning brothers do the Manning cast games. And I think the fact that they only signed them, what was it, over 3 years for like 16 games, and they were like, shit, we should have signed them for 3 years every Monday because
Yeah.
it took off. Because it's not only are you getting some of the greatest minds, like greatest quarterback minds of the past like 30, 40 years analyzing the game live, but it's also funny because it's two brothers who also just sit there and riff on each other from time to time. And it's just, it was absolutely stellar. It heightened my appreciation and love for football.
James, I don't know if you want to start with the NFC or the AFC. We want to go through every division and at least give our picks of who we think is going to be the front runner of that division and what to expect this year from that particular division. So you want to go NFC or AFC first?
I have the NFC queued up on the screen.
All right, so we are going to start with the NFC, and that means we are going to start with the NFC East, which of course is the shittiest division in all of pro sports, and that is because the Dallas Cowboys are in there, and no one likes the Dallas Cowboys.
Or the Giants. Or Washington.
Or the
for that
Giants.
matter.
Or the Washington football team.
But
But
no-
finally, after 7.5 years, have figured out what to call themselves.
Well,
And they are now the Washington Commanders.
I don't think people, it's not that people don't like Washington, it's they hate Dan Snyder. Like, it's the people love the team, they hate the owner, and they're trying, and the NFL is trying to find a way to force this guy to sell the team.
Yep.
They are.
And then, not to speak lightly, because I hate them too. The Philadelphia Eagles, also a member of this division. And I only hate the Philadelphia Eagles because one of my best friends, Paul, is a big Eagles fan. So I like making fun of the Eagles. So this division, I think in a lot of ways can be seen as wide open because I think the Cowboys are probably the front runners in terms of like what people expect.
Yes.
But
Expectation versus what will happen, I think, is going to be very different.
that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
So James is shaking his head. Go ahead. Like, who do you think is winning
Yeah,
this
you
division?
start with this because you're going off.
The Dallas Cowboys lost so many weapons. Like Ezekiel Elliott is not any sort of Ezekiel Elliott of old, right?
Nope.
Amari Cooper's
No.
gone, right?
You'll be lucky to get 1,500 yards out of Zeke this year.
Like they're not the same team, and Dak can't be trusted to stay healthy. To me, this is the Eagles' division to lose. They've added AJ Green. They get another year of Devonta Smith, a healthy Miles Sanders, Jalen Hurts running the football, and then like another year of a smart Jalen Hurts. I honestly think that this is the Eagles' division to lose. I don't see the Cowboys. You could make the argument it's a coin toss between the Cowboys and the Eagles, but I really do think the Eagles are that much improved over last year, and they weren't great last year. They weren't terrible. So I just think this is their division. The other teams they're garbage. Although the Giants brought in the dude who's worked with Josh Allen and stuff for Danny Dimes to work with, but I don't think like Saquon Barkley's not going to stay healthy, right? And who's Kadarius Toney? Like who's Daniel Jones? Like
the Giants are 2 years away from being 2 years away. They're the Bruno Caboclo of the NFL. It's not gonna happen overnight. They have pieces that I think will grow together, but it's gonna be a couple years before they're in a position to compete with the Cowboys or the Eagles, like you said. The problem is, like, this is such a terrible division. I don't think it was last year. I think it was the year before. The team that won the division won with like a 500 record or like a one game below 500 record. It's embarrassing. Like in football, that gets coaches fired. Like a 9-8 record gets coaches fired in the NFL.
Yeah.
Right. So the fact that he's like, hey, we're playoff bound. Yeah, but we were 7-10. Yeah, but we're going to the playoffs. Right. It's bad. But I do think it is the Cowboys to win. But do I think they will? No. Again, like you said, Dak can't stay healthy. They lost Amari Cooper, and putting that much on CeeDee Lamb, like, come on. I know Dak's a fantasy machine because he had so many outlets. Now he's got nothing outside of CeeDee Lamb. Zeke's not gonna, like I said, put up more than 1,500 yards. He can't stay healthy, and he's getting older. And we all know running backs have 3 really good years of productivity, and Zeke's obviously past that. And it's not even like he's almost like a power back. He's big, he's strong, he's like Jerome Bettis. So he takes more punishment than most running backs do. So yeah, I see it going Eagles, Cowboys, Colts, Giants, and Washington. I honestly don't think the Colts are as bad as people are making them out to be.
By Colts, are you saying you mean the Commanders?
Yeah, sorry, the Commanders. I don't think they're as bad as people are making.
They have pieces too. They have pieces. But again,
they Carson Wentz. They have who's I think better than Ryan Fitzpatrick.
And they have Chase Young on D.
But yeah, I see it going. Yeah, I see it going Eagles, Cowboys, Washington, and then Giants. Giants aren't.
So when I said I thought this division is wide open, just because I think a lot of people are thinking that the Cowboys are going to be good, and I'm with you guys in where I don't think they have it right now, and for all the reasons you guys said, with CeeDee Lamb being the only guy, the only option now, Dak Prescott, who hasn't been himself since that injury, not to mention that Tyrone Smith, their left tackle, is out until December. So
isn't that 2 years? Like that's 2 seasons he's been gone, isn't it?
They've had offensive line troubles for a long time.
Yeah.
And protection for Dak Prescott is going to be paramount this season, and they already are looking behind the 8 ball.
They're not prepared.
And that's going to cause all sorts of troubles for Elliott too. I think the Cowboys are going to have a very tough time scoring points in this league. That said, I think the Eagles are poised for success here. Jalen Hurts, I think, is the real deal. I think he can be a perennial quarterback in this league. I think at the addition of Hollywood Brown, not Hollywood Brown, excuse me, who am I thinking of?
AJ Green.
Hollywood Brown, AJ Green. It wasn't AJ Green, it's AJ Brown.
AJ Brown. Sorry. They're
I was
all
gonna say-
I was thinking Hollywood Brown,
Brown,
and then
AJ.
Okay,
Yeah.
we got there. The
We'll get
addition
We'll get
of
there.
AJ Brown, I think, is going to be a significant upgrade for this offense as well. And it's
Dude.
a player, a game-breaking type player that they haven't had since Terrell Owens.
And it's a well, that's not true because they have Devonta Smith, who had a fantastic year. They have options. Like if you look at the offensive options of the Eagles, where's the ball going to go? You don't know. It's going to go to Brown. It's going to go to Smith. Is it going to go up the middle to Sanders? They also have Kenneth Gainwell, so they have two
I was
solid.
just going to say, yeah, that Sanders Gainwell combo is going to be insane.
Right, and then Hurts, who can perform just as well as them running the ball. So like.
Well, and Hurts just like I said, quote of the century. You just drop your deuce, flush it, you move on.
Yeah, and they have Goddard at tight end, who's a solid tight end. Like their offense is so well rounded that I just think how do you defend, right? Like the options are just too good.
All right, so we are all in agreement that we think the Philadelphia Eagles will be winning the NFC East. What about the NFC North? And I don't know if there's going to be much of discussion around this one. We got the Packers, we got the Vikings, we got the Bears, and we got the Lions. I think the Lions will easily be the worst team in that division, even though there's always like enough people that will want to see them succeed just because they were the Hard Knocks season this year. I don't think the Bears have it. I'm not buying anything that the Bears are putting out there right now. I think Darnell Mooney's good, but like I don't think that's going to be enough for this team to compete. Is it the Vikings or is it the Packers? I guess is the question now, because the Packers have lost a bit up front, right? With
Devontae
Jesus
Adams.
Christ. Devontae Adams going to Vegas. Like you're going to see a difference there. Is Randall Cobb going to make up that difference? Probably not.
How old is
right?
Randall Cobb? He's like 100.
Yeah, Rodgers loves him.
Yeah, he can love him right to the grave.
What I don't understand is that Rodgers wanted a say in the personnel that they would bring in to make them successful. They haven't brought anybody. They haven't done anything, right? Like what is happening in Green Bay?
Well,
Like
you also have to look in Minnesota, who arguably, in my eyes, is probably going to lead in receiving yards, in Justin Jefferson. Like I would not be surprised if that dude takes over as the number one receiver in the NFL this year.
I mean, he's being drafted that way in fantasy leagues, so you're not far off. I think there's a lot of people who believe that as well. But the interesting thing here, I'm just looking at like the NFL.com rankings or like the power rankings of these teams. They have the Vikings at 20, and they have the Packers at like 6.
the Packers defense is
It's
still
Aaron Rodgers and back-to-back MVPs, and that's what they're hitching it on. I just think with all the shit off the field that's gone on with Aaron Rodgers, and then not having anyone on the field to throw the ball to,
Listen,
what's he gonna do? The
the
Packers can't run the
Packers-
ball.
the
They have
Packers
Sammy
will
Watkins.
the Packers will live and die on their defense.
No,
But
the
there's
Packers.
Aaron Rodgers.
No, the Packers are gonna get by strictly on the fact that two of the other teams in this division are absolute garbage.
You know, I'm not entirely all out on the Bears, and I think hey,
Bears.
listen. Yeah, you
All right,
don't
go on. Go for it.
Mooney,
Yeah.
right? Darnell Mooney, okay.
I'm aware of Darnell Mooney is, but I think the Bears are going to be the worst team in the
Wait.
league this year.
What? Cole Kmet,
No,
okay.
Okay, just keep naming players on their offense. Yeah, David Montgomery, cool.
Yeah.
Justin
and
Fields.
Khalil
Okay.
Herbert isn't so bad in the backfield either. So, and again, but it's gonna come down to, it really is gonna come down to Justin Fields and how well, like, their defense I don't think is anything to shake, which is weird for a Bears team to have mediocre defense after so many years of Brian Urlacher, but
It's mediocre defense and probably the worst offensive line in the league. So even
That
if you
might-
believe in Mooney and Montgomery and Kmet and Fields,
how are they gonna get the ball? If it's
Yeah.
just, it's literally gonna be
True.
blitz and pass rush the entire game.
okay, so
they're
then
going to get
let's
blitzed out of the building.
let's take the Packers offense or defense off the table here. Then this might be a worse division than the North. Or the East,
No,
sorry.
'cause
I was being facetious when I said it's a bad division.
it's
I
just
think
because he hates
we're-
Dallas.
It's just because I don't like Dallas. I don't like Philadelphia, and I like making fun of Washington, and I don't like anything.
Because
New York, so
are you on the Vikings? I just don't know with the Vikings, man. Like Justin Jefferson's incredible, right? They released Kellen Mond, right?
Dude,
so they're all in.
And this is a big if, but if Dalvin Cook is healthy all year, he is arguably one of the best running backs in the league. Top
True.
3. So you add that to Jefferson. I know Cousins isn't the best quarterback,
I was gonna say,
but
are you gonna,
I think
but
there's
they,
I think there's enough game-breaking players on that team to sneak out a division win over Green Bay. And so that's my pick. I'm going with the Vikings for the NFC North.
Honestly, I was all about Packers kind of winning that division, but over the last couple of weeks, just seriously sitting there thinking, being like, where's the offense going to come from Green Bay? You know, it's going to be double coverage on Cobb, probably because that's Rodgers' favorite target for the receivers right now. He's clearly not happy with some of the young guys that they brought in. I forget who the dude's name is, but he was shit talking him a couple weeks ago. And then who's going to run the ball for them? So who's he going to hand off to when he can't throw the ball? I don't even know who the Packers running back is right now. Do you?
The Packers running back would be Jones, and
I mean,
you'll
he's
have
12th best running back in the
you'll
league.
have Jones and you'll have Dillon.
Oh, yeah, AJ
It'll be a
Dillon.
committee, and Dillon will be your Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon.
I
Yeah.
don't see where the offense is going to come for the Packers. Well, it seems like the Vikings are going to have plenty.
you know, like the Vikings. Yeah, I mean, they have Adam Thielen too, right? Like, you're probably right. I think it's the Vikings division.
We haven't
But-
disagreed yet, so we're all unanimous saying Vikings as well.
Yeah, although I gotta say, I just want to say, side note, I do like what the Lions are doing with the people they're acquiring. No, I do. Amon
few
Ross
years,
St. Brown, like quality. You know that the fucking dude they drafted this year. What's that
I
guy's
honestly don't
name?
really pay attention to the Lions draft.
No one paid attention to the Detroit Lions draft.
Aiden Hutchinson.
Sure.
And they have DeAndre Swift at back. Like they still have Penny Sewell on the line, who I really kind of wanted the Jets draft a couple years ago. So like they're getting
Who knows? Jared
They
Goff
got-
could have like a rebound season.
Yeah, and they took DJ Chark from the Jaguars. So it's not all doom and gloom on the side of the Lions. They're like, what'll happen is they'll go 2-0 and everyone will think this is the year, and then they'll be 2-15. Like that'll.
All right, so the next one should be an easy one, I would assume. The NFC North.
Yeah.
We have
South.
the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the New Orleans Saints, the Atlanta Falcons, and the Carolina Panthers. Is anyone not saying Tampa Bay?
I think you mean the NFC South.
What did I say?
North.
My bad. NFC South, you're right. Tampa Bay, New Orleans, Atlanta, Carolina.
Well,
Yeah.
Mike Evans, Julio Jones alone. Come on.
I mean, Julio
Well,
Jones
I
old
don't-
as
I don't
fuck
think
too.
Julio
Jones is gonna
Jones isn't what he used to be,
Not
but
at all.
but when he's not the primary target, if he doesn't have to be the go-to ball thrower and he's getting secondary looks and touches when the instances, so you're telling me that you don't think Julio's going to have a monster season with Tom Brady throwing him the ball? Hold on.
No.
And
No.
because Mike Evans is going to get double covered enough.
No,
What about Chris Godwin?
if he's healthy,
Right? I just think there's a lot of options for Brady. So
right? But
between
that's what makes
Godwin-
it. That's what makes it work for.
The
For
fact that
Julio.
it's not all on Julio's back to be the number one option, the wide receiver, to catch and carry for an extra 15, whatever. It's gonna one, free him up, and two, he's probably gonna have less pressure, and he's gonna have less defense on him because he isn't the guy that he used to be.
He's just got to catch a ball, man. Like Brady will get it to him.
Yeah.
I'm not doubting the ability of Julio Jones. I just don't think that he's going to be a primary target in this offense.
No, he won't.
But that's what's gonna make him so effective, is that he's not the primary target.
Yeah.
right?
I mean,
that the looks he does get, he's going to be wide open or in subpar coverage. Like he's going to have what? If they double cover, it's going to be the safety is going to fade over to Mike Evans' side and probably cover with the DB or the corner. So that's going to leave him with the third option of corner for the defense to cover.
Not
What if-
necessarily, because you still have Kyle Rudolph on this team too, who I think is one of the sneakiest tight end picks in fantasy football right now is Kyle Rudolph, because
Sure.
Brady historically has always looked towards Gronkowski and Hernandez.
What if Julio Jones is their red zone option,
Yeah.
right? Like, think about it, right?
It could
like,
be. Yeah.
you know, the thing is though, what if this is the year too that Brady runs out of gas? Like, what if this is like,
Everything they've said is said that when he took his little 2-week vacation, he came back looking better than he's ever looked.
but there at some point, this man has to run out of battery. Like at some point, battery
They've been saying
low.
that for
Like,
years.
I know, but we can't say it forever. You okay?
Let me tell you something, okay? Let me tell you something. I'm
He's
gonna beat.
put
I'm
on
gonna
the
do a-
chalk line Bret Hart jacket.
Who are you to doubt Tom Brady?
I'm just saying, the guy has a lot of noise around him, probably more than ever. His wife clearly doesn't want him to play fucking football.
Oh, she was pissed.
So
I was mad.
I'm just saying, the stars are aligned for this year to be the no bueno year for Tom Brady. But
Okay, then so it's going to be the Saints.
the rest are trash. The rest are absolute trash.
They're going to walk to a first week bye of the playoffs.
we have 5 more divisions
Backwards.
to get to. So are we all okay with saying that Tampa Bay
it's
is
the
winning
Bucks.
this division?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's not even worth looking over the other teams in the division because we know
Okay.
it's going to be the Bucks and then what? Maybe the Saints in second, Panthers in third, and then Falcons in fourth.
Nah, maybe Panthers second, but we'll see.
The Panthers are going to heavily depend on Christian McCaffrey. And
Yeah, I would
he's
say
been
all depends
a
on
huge injury bug for the past 2 years, right?
if he stays
And
healthy.
Alvin Kamara is still a
Yeah.
monster. in New
That's what I mean.
Orleans.
They need Run CMC to be 100% healthy to even think about competing for second, let alone anything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah, I think second place in that division is wide open, but it's Tampa Bay's division to lose. I would think.
And
everyone's-
it's not even like it's theirs to lose. I think it's locked in.
There's to
and
fuck up.
They're gonna
Like
what?
there's to fuck up. Like they have
Yeah.
to fuck it up. Yeah.
All right, so moving on to the last division of the NFC. That's going to be the NFC West. It's the Rams, the Cardinals, the Niners, and the Seahawks. Now, this is one that's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, I know the Rams had a hell of a year last year, culminated, of course, with a Super Bowl victory. But, man, the Cardinals look good. And you can't count out the 49ers. I think Deebo Samuel might be one of the best wide receivers in the league. Sneakily, one of the best wide receivers in the league. And they're like, if Trey Lance figures it out this year, and I know there's the whole thing with Garoppolo and who's going to be the starter. It's Lance's team right now. It's his team to lose.
Garoppolo's the safety net.
Exactly. And sometimes that's good. Sometimes that's bad to have that safety net. Like as a young player, maybe you would like to have that mentorship and someone else to jump in if necessary. But I think you also kind of want the team to be fully behind you and say, this is 100% your team. And we don't have a safety net because you're our guy. I don't know. That's a philosophical question for the brain of Trey Lance and how he's feeling. But if Trey Lance can figure it out and put it together, I still don't think I'm going to give them the division. I love the Rams, but
How do you not?
man, I still love the Cardinals too. So for me, this is a tough one to pick. I don't want to say the easy answer of the Rams, so I am going to say the Arizona Cardinals.
I'm taking the easy answer with the Rams because you're the champions until someone takes it away from you.
Fair enough.
Dude, I think the 49ers are just they're stacked. And the only question mark is Trey Lance, and I do think he's that good. I do. And I think the players around him are going to make him that good. Dude, you need Deebo Samuel, yes, but you're forgetting Brandon Ayuk and you're also and George Kittle and Tyler Croft. Like they're stacked, dude. And then Nick Bosa on the defensive. Like they're just I don't know, man.
But they've had all this
if,
for years outside of Trey Lance.
But if Trey Lance doesn't perform, then you can easily fall back on Garoppolo if he stays. Who's, listen, not a world-class quarterback, but he's led him to a Super Bowl or the conference
20.
championship. Yeah. So the 49ers are so deep. So to me, it's a toss-up between the 49ers and the Rams. And then the Cardinals, I have the Cardinals slotted in at 2 or 3, depending on where the other ones go. But
Trey Lance has a week and a half. If he has a really shitty week 1, they'll say okay. And then if he has a really shitty first half of week 2, they pull him and it's Garoppolo in.
yeah.
And I think it's one of those things where it's not just to finish off the game. It's Garoppolo's for the next 2-3 weeks.
But I don't think they miss a step by doing that either. And that's the thing, because he's played with his team. It's seamless, right? So that's a benefit that not a lot of other teams have.
No, they don't miss a step in the sense of, yeah, it's an easy transition for Garoppolo, but it severely hinders the progress of Trey Lance.
What's interesting, if you look at the NFL power rankings, number 2 is the Rams and number 3 is the Niners. So this is definitely going to be the division to watch in the NFL this season.
Like I said, for me, it's the Rams because, again, you're the champions until someone takes it from you. Essentially the same team coming back that just won with championship experience. And again, how do you count on Aaron Donald, arguably the best player in the league? That dude will single-handedly drag a defense to he pretty much single-handedly dragged that second half defense against the Bengals in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and potentially healthy Cam Akers, you know.
Yeah. I know a lot of people don't have faith in Matt Stafford following it up.
I was just going to say, to me, they're very... The 49ers and the Rams are actually really similar, like in the way they're built. Between, like, you look at the offensive side of the ball, Cooper Kupp, Van Jefferson, Stafford, Akers. On the other side,
did Odell resign yet, or is he still up in the air? Like,
he's up in the air.
Still,
he isn't. And then they have Tutu Atwell kind of sitting on the outside, looking in. But when you look at the Niners, it's Ayuk, Samuel, Kittle. Like, they're very similar. And then you have Nick Bosa, Aaron Donald. Like, they're...
So, are you taking the Niners?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Niners.
Action?
No. Too tight. Too tight.
Hilariously enough, Odell Beckham Jr. like 5 hours ago had this joke. He said it was a joke, but he said he's going to wait till like the end of week 1 where the Rams play the Bills, and whoever wins that game gets to sign him.
No, he'll stay in LA. He likes LA too much. But
well,
no mutual action on this, Jim?
No. It's too close.
It is very close. I think it's probably the closest division in the league.
Yeah.
This next one probably won't be as close. And of course, it is the week 1 opener of the entire season on Thursday night. It's going to be the Buffalo Bills and the AFC East. The Bills, the Patriots, the Dolphins, and one of the worst teams I've ever seen step. I'm kidding, of course, because James is obviously a very big Jets fan, and you'll understand how much of a fan he is when he inevitably says the Jets are going to win this division, as like a lunatic that he is.
He's not that dumb.
I think it's a slam dunk pick for the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen is unstoppable. Stephon Diggs is incredible. They don't even need a running game. They're going to air out the ball for 500 yards every single game.
They're going to look like a college football team.
Dawson Knox is going to catch every pass in the end zone. Yep. Like, it's just, that's what's going to happen.
I think Josh Allen's pissed with how that game ended against Kansas City, that he's just going to be so laser focused for this season.
And dude, Von Miller
he tasted the Super Bowl. Von
Miller as the leader, the leadership on the other side of the ball and on that team.
Yeah.
Come on.
He's old, but his voice carries a lot of weight.
Dude, Ray Lewis was old too. Right, Dustin? Ray Lewis was old as fuck.
Ray Lewis and Ed Reed were old men when they won that last Super Bowl.
Yeah, but Ray Lewis isn't human, so that doesn't.
But so was Von Miller. What team did Von Miller? What team did Von Miller play for at the end of last year?
The Rams.
Okay, all right. And what happened with the Rams?
I don't remember.
Yeah, but that's Von Miller being behind Aaron Donald and what's his name? The other
Yeah,
dude.
I understand that, but they still pieces to win. I'm telling you. And Von Miller does have Super Bowls with the Broncos, correct?
I think he has the one, and he was the MVP of that Super Bowl.
Yeah. So there you go, man.
It was the Peyton one. But that was a long time ago, man.
Like, the Bills are running away with this division.
No, right? Yeah, for sure. But like, I don't think Von Miller's the reason.
No, I'm saying it when you talk about the steps that they missed going into like a potential championship. Like, these are the players. These are the types of players championship teams acquire. When we always talk about what the Jays need, what the Leafs need, whatever. Von Miller is that guy. Like, if they could clone Von Miller and put him on the Jays and the Leafs, and they learned how to play those sports, that's what they need. So
I'm looking at their acquisitions. Like, I completely forgot they got Jameson Crowder too.
Yep. But
so
their O-line took a massive hit, and Josh Allen is going to need to figure out a way to stay safe.
Not like the Bengals.
Yeah, we ain't talking about the Bengals.
So we'll get there, but yeah,
we're about to get there. We're about to get there right now. I know, James, you may want to talk about the Jets a bit in this division.
Yeah, I think people will laugh, but it's similar to the Bucks division. I think you have the Bills and then literally everyone else. And people will say, well, what about the Dolphins and what about Tyreek Hill and Tua? Listen, Tua can't throw the ball past 10 yards.
No, he can't. It's literally it's fucking 5-yard button hooks or slants cross middle for 4 or 5 yards for those receivers. That's going to be all in the receivers to catch and run.
And I also think Tyreek Hill is going to hate his life.
Yeah. Yes. I had this argument with my cousin. Not argument, discussion on Saturday. We had this discussion. She's like, Tyreek Hill, man. I was like, it's different when Tyreek Hill has a capable quarterback to throw him the ball where he can already get 15, 20 yards deep, catch the ball and run. It's different when he's going to be expected to catch the ball at 5 yards and then break double coverage or break in through the secondary that's already waiting for him because Tua doesn't know, like, I can throw a ball better and further than Tua.
Yeah, they don't have a diverse game. They don't. I think they, and listen, they don't call him Tua turn the ball over for nothing. Like, there's a reason that he has that nickname, right?
Who's their backup quarterback?
Not a clue.
Exactly. So if Tua doesn't work out, what the fuck are they gonna do?
And then you have the Patriots. And listen, I don't think the Patriots make the playoffs.
They ain't it.
I think Mac Jones. To me, I would not be, and you can laugh all you want, I would not be surprised if the Jets finish second in that division with a 6-7 something record. I wouldn't be surprised.
Teddy Bridgewater is the backup to Tua.
Okay, but it's not terrible, but I mean, it's not
probably a better option.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you probably want him starting, no?
But you want to say Trey Lance needs to figure things out? Zach Wilson needs to figure things out because they wanted weapons. They gave him weapons. Go down the list of that wide receiver core on the Jets. And then you have Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, now Garrett Wilson. You could have the best DB in the league right now with Sauce Gardner. Matt, tell that crazy stat about Sauce. Tell the crazy stat about touchdowns allowed.
Oh yeah. Well, I saw this stat. I sent it to Jim. He's never let a touchdown in college when a play's been thrown like his direction, and he hasn't let a catch so far yet in preseason. Dude, when the ball's in his direction.
That is unreal. Like, there's a reason this guy was picked so high. The Jets secondary needed a revamp. He could be Revis 2.0, right? Like, dude, the future is bright if Zach Wilson figures it out. The future is very bright.
I'm looking up the stat now while you guys talk about this.
Well, I was going to say, have you looked at the week 1 schedule, James?
They do play the Ravens, buddy.
So the Jets are playing the Baltimore Ravens.
And I believe in Robert Saleh too. I believe he's bringing the right attitude to that team. And I believe in Joe Douglas. I like the moves Joe Douglas has made. I like that they didn't go all in for Tyreek Hill. They didn't give it. This is, Garrett Wilson Wilson is going to be, dude. I like what they're doing.
Here's Gardner's stat in college. He didn't allow more than 13 yards to any receiver in a game. He didn't allow a TD catch in his entire college career.
Gee, come
That's
on.
crazy. And that's college football, where it's games are like 55-36.
Come on.
Well, it may not matter because ultimately when the Ravens play the Jets in week 1, Lamar Jackson just going to rush in 4 touchdowns. So it doesn't matter how many, the Ravens don't have any receivers to throw to anyways. So
how good of a year did
really make a difference?
How good of a year did Lamar Jackson have last year?
It doesn't matter because Lamar
really
Jackson. Okay, and so we'll move into the AFC North now. I think we are all in agreement that the Buffalo Bills were going to be
This division makes me
winners of
laugh
the
the
AFC
hardest. This division makes me laugh the hardest, and I can't wait to talk
the
about
AFC
it.
North.
Yeah.
So the AFC North.
This one might be as tough as the NFC West.
Well,
for all the
it
wrong
shouldn't
reasons.
be. So here's the thing: the AFC North, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Cleveland Browns, and the Baltimore Ravens. The Bengals did go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And,
But did you see the number?
The number.
How many sacks were allowed by the
Right,
Bengals
so-
all of last season? And that's just the season. You'd think it'd get better in the playoffs.
Yeah. So that was definitely a problem with the Bengals all year. Joe Burrow took a beating all year, and those are going to add up, and they obviously need to address that going forward.
He was
But
sacked
I think-
51 times.
I think
51.
the Bengals have to be the number one choice for this division. I think we're probably all leaning towards the Bengals. Even as a Ravens fan, I think the Bengals are the best team in this division. The Steelers are probably going to be the worst, and I mean, well, maybe not because the Browns are always the Browns.
Browns are shit show.
Here's the only thing I'm going to say about the Ravens. I understand their wide receiver situation is suspect right now.
And
Highly
Rashad
suspect
Bateman back?
They probably
Rashad
should open
Bateman
Shires.
Rashad Bateman and Devin Duvernay, I think, are their 1-2. Exactly. And although the thing is with the Ravens, they've always been a rush heavy team. And the health of J.K. Dobbins right now is up in the air, and Gus
they got
Edwards
Mike-
is hurt right now too. So they have Mike Davis, who's going to start week 1, I believe. But the only thing that I think is going to work out, Mandrews, of course, is top 3 tight end. in the league.
Yep.
Maybe top 5 if you don't like him. And Lamar is in the middle of a contract dispute with the Ravens. He is going to want to get paid. Lamar Jackson, for better or worse, is going to be the best team on the Ravens every single week. And he's going to need to be in order to earn that money that he's looking for. So that being said, that's why I think the Ravens are going to be a competitive team this year because Lamar is going to put this team on his back. Does that mean they're going to win the division? Probably not. Does that mean they're going to spank the Jets week 1? Of course they are. Are we kidding? Right?
Hold on.
Are we
You say that, but with a contract up in the air, you think he's gonna want to run the ball as much as you say he will, with the risk of not having a contract?
He has to. Who's he going to throw to?
No, I know that, but what I'm saying is you think he's gonna want to risk the NFL, which is historically stingy when it comes to contracts for their quarterbacks. You think he's gonna want to risk injury by having to be their running back?
I don't think he wants to, but this is the path that he is.
No, but that's what I'm saying. He will probably not run the ball, and they'll say, "Why?" He's like, "Pay me, and I'll start running you the ball."
No, I think he's made it very clear he said, once the season starts, he's done. He's not talking about any more contract extensions. He is going to prove it on the field, which I agree is incredibly risky. And typically you don't see it in the NFL. Like, guys would rather sit out than even play before they got their extension. He is putting a line in the sand and saying, I'm going to go out and play. I'm going to show you guys why I'm worth, the hundreds of millions of dollars that he thinks he's worth.
But
It's
they're
easy
just
to say that now, but then he takes his first hit and he's winded and he's like, and he sees 250 million floating down the drain.
You're right, dude. You know what? He is very talented, and you're right. The contract thing, it happens in all sports. Contract year is a thing for a reason. They're just so shallow, dude. They're just so shallow.
No, I totally agree, man.
Like
I'm
you
tempted
joke
to
that
have you
they're going to
boys over on
slaughter.
Sundays
You joke
to
that they're going to
watch
slaughter
Jets
the.
Ravens.
Yeah, you joke they're going to slaughter the Jets. Like, that's not
I
a
don't know.
given. That's not a given for that game.
If this is week 5 and everything settles in how everybody pictures it would be, yes, I would say, okay, Ravens will probably mop the floor with the Jets. Week 1
In
is
week 5?
chaos. Yeah.
It might even be more for the Jets because then they're gonna run the nothing the Bills have or the Ravens have into the ground, right? Like, I don't know, man. Like, we'll be together on Sunday at the golf tournament, so there'll be a lot of shit talking at the golf tournament.
James and I will be on a golf course as this game is being played, so we should just like bring mics with us.
But you want to know how much of a like? Listen, I know Matt and I are both like background Steelers fans because our dad is a Steelers fan. But can you just have to? Mitch Trubisky was named co-captain of that team, voted on by the players.
Yep.
But like, let's be honest. He was in Chicago. No one would have succeeded in Chicago.
No one's going to succeed on that team.
Mike Tomlin's an infinitely better coach than anybody he's ever seen.
True, but they lost Juju, right?
Yeah, but they still got Chase Claypool.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. Next division.
Good Canadian boy, Chase Claypool. Shout out.
All right, we got to move on. Maddie and James, I need your pick for the AFC North.
Bengals, and I think Jamar Chase is going to rival Justin Jefferson for yards.
I don't disagree.
Yeah, I'd say the Bengals. Unless week 1 they let up 8 sacks and tear apart Joe Burrow's other knee.
AFC South: Tennessee Titans, Indianapolis Colts, Houston Texans, Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't think it's much of a debate. I'm going Titans, but I would love to see Jaguars because of my boy TK.
Yeah, I'm a big Trevor Lawrence guy. Like, I'm a big Trevor Lawrence fan. I watched him for his last like 2 years in Clemson. I think he will get there. I think he didn't have a lot around him. The fact that they went and drafted some protection for him is a really good sign because they probably watched what's going on in Cincinnati and they're like, we can't have that with Trevor Lawrence. We need some protection for this guy. So they went and got him some protection. They, went and got some. They got Christian Kirk for wide receiver. They got a tight end, Evan Engram. So he does have more options than he did last year for sure. And also too, Urban Meyer got the fuck out of there because that guy's a fucking joke. Honestly, yes, I think it's going to be the Titans first. I think the battle for second is going to be between the Jags and the Colts, and then I think the Texans are just going to be wiping the asses of whoever's in front of them as they shit on them when they go by.
You're not on Mills Mafia?
No.
You forgot T-Law got his boy Travis Etienne back.
Yeah, and he's now playing with Etienne again, where he put up monster numbers in Clemson with. So that familiarity is gonna help him. And again, like I said, no Urban Meyer. Like, that guy's a fucking joke. I hate him so much.
So sneaky. I think the Colts are gonna take this division. I think Matt Ryan is a low maintenance quarterback.
He can't move.
No, but he doesn't require a lot of he'll throw the ball. He's not going to be a problem, and he's going to be consistent. And you don't need to move when you have potentially the best player in the league in Jonathan Taylor back. So, I honestly when you look at the rest of the Titans lost two receivers. And they're super young with their draft picks. I don't know, man. It feels like the Colts have a chance to take this.
I don't disagree, and you're kind of talking me into it, but I'm going to stick with my pick. But you're making excellent points, and I think you're probably right.
I mean,
great input, does it?
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like the Colts are probably front runner for this.
And they Michael Pittman is for real, I think. And on defense, I mean, they're not a bad defensive team. The Colts aren't a bad defensive team. Stephon Gilmore and Kwity Paye, come on, man.
I look at the Titans and with Derrick Henry and what that dude can do. How do you
Yes.
Yeah, I know. King Henry is amazing. But one injury to Henry and that team is in shambles, right?
Yeah, but that dude pretty much played on a broken ankle in the back half of the season.
Yeah.
And he still put up 150 yards a game.
Jonathan Taylor had 5 touchdowns in a game last year.
Jonathan Taylor's really good.
He is. He should have been MVP last year.
Yeah. All right, we're on to our final division. The Kansas City Chiefs. This is the AFC West, of course. The Kansas City Chiefs, the Las Vegas Raiders, the Los Angeles Chargers, and the Denver Broncos. I think the smart money is probably on the Chiefs, but I'm going Raiders.
Oh, really?
Why?
Yeah. Why? Honestly, for no other reason than Devontae Adams. I think that's something that they have been lacking for a while, like to have a true number one wide receiver on this team. And I think that would put them over the hump. And at the same time, the Chiefs lost their true number one wide receiver in Tyreek Hill. So just based on that, and honestly, they were 2 wins apart last year. The Raiders were 10-7, and the Chiefs were 12-5.
Is Devontae Adams the same Devontae Adams with Derek Carr that he was with Aaron Rodgers?
Aaron Rodgers. No.
So that's the $1 million question, right? We have no idea. It's the same question we were just talking about in the North with, in the North with the Dolphins with Tyreek Hill. Is he going to be as good without Patrick Mahomes with Tua throwing the ball? Probably not. So I don't think Devontae Adams is going to be as good as he was in Green Bay, because how could you be? But I think he's still going to make some noise.
This might be the most well-rounded division in the NFL. I honestly think the Raiders look real good. I thought they played a lot of really good games last year. I thought the Raiders were one of the most entertaining teams last year. They had some real close games that were exciting as fuck to watch. And I dig Hunter Renfrow as a player. I think, and then the Chargers, man, Justin Herbert's unreal. And then look at the Broncos.
Austin Eckler, man. Well, Austin Eckler is probably the most versatile running back in the league.
Josh Palmer.
And they got Khalil Mack.
Yeah. But, if I'm going to go off I'm picking the Broncos, man. The addition of Russell Wilson, possibly the best could be the best running back this year, could be in Javonte Williams. Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, come on, man. I don't know. They could be a dangerous team. They were talking.
I like it, man. No, I like the pick. I'm not hating on it. I like it.
Oh no, they were talking though that they could see Russell Wilson getting MVP this year. When he got traded to Denver.
And now that has an extension, probably not.
Well, yeah, but he's in an infinitely better situation here than he was in Seattle. Significantly more support around him, and the Broncos weren't terrible last year.
I don't know. What was their record last year? Let's see.
What, the Broncos last year?
They were 7-10, last in the AFC West.
Yeah, but they got off to a 5-0 start.
Yeah.
So I don't. Again, they have, and Jeudy and Javonte Williams are super young. There's a lot of legs to this team, and
I know
Russell Wilson is a better quarterback than Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater.
Russell Wilson is a better quarterback than 28 other quarterbacks in the league.
I rest my case.
So, Maddie, who are you picking?
This one's tough for me because I do like the Raiders, and honestly, that first 6 weeks of the Chiefs last year gave me no faith without Tyreek Hill that they're going to be as good or better to sustain. I'm going to go with the Chargers. I think they're primed and ready to go. I think, like I said, their big issue was on D, and I think getting Khalil Mack really, really solidifies a lot of that. Again, I like the Raiders and kind of getting Devontae Adams. With Aaron Rodgers, he's top 2-3 receiver in the league. But is he, like Jim said, is he the same with Derek Carr? Probably not. But I mean, you would think that at minimum he would be average or top 15 receiver still. So I'm gonna say it's probably gonna be Chargers, Chiefs, Raiders, Broncos.
You think the Chiefs are gonna? Dude, I have zero faith in that. I think the Chiefs are in for a world of hurt, man. I think they've got no run game. Their defense is sus. Um,
Well, I mean, none of us picked the Chiefs to win that division, so I think we're kind of all aligned there that the Chiefs aren't necessarily the best team in this division. Oh, I thought I mentioned already. The Raiders are.
Raiders, though. Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, the Chargers look good though, man. Keenan Allen as well.
Yeah,
like I said, Eckler.
honestly, this division is going to be a lot of fun to watch. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I'll be glued to this division outside of Jets games. Like Joey Bosa, no slouch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
man.
So that is our NFL preview for
Super Bowl picks? Early Super Bowl pick?
That's a great point. I forgot. Thank you for reminding me. Go for it, Matt, if you have one. I got to now think.
Rams.
You think the Rams are going to repeat?
I honestly think they do. It's because I just think with the same team, motivated, now the championship pedigree, I think they do it.
I'm writing in Maddie as Rams. James?
For me, it'd be Rams or Bucks.
Nope. You said Rams.
No, I know. I'm taking the Rams.
Like the sexy pick is the Buffalo Bills, right? Like that's
It is.
That's not even the sexy pick. That's the I barely watch football, and I did a 10-minute read on TSN, and I'm taking the Bill. But if you genuinely think the Bills could do it,
I do think they could do it, and I'm looking at other teams, and I don't know that there's any other teams that are as just good as the Bills.
I would want to see the Bills in a Super Bowl strictly to see the insanity of Bills Mafia.
Oh, you know how many tables are going to be broken? It'd be like ECW.
Where's the Super Bowl being played? This one.
That's a good question. I'll look that up. But James, who are you picking?
I'm going to say the Bills. It's a loser pick. Like, it's not like I'm not being bold, but I just think they're too... Like, Josh Allen's too good. Like you said, Stephon Diggs, like, they're just too good.
Allegiant. It's in Vegas.
I'm looking at... What am I looking at? I just saw that it said Arizona.
Oh.
Did you look up 2022 or 2023?
2023.
No, because my computer is saying Arizona.
Maybe I got this wrong.
Anyways, James, you said the Bills, and I'm going Vikings. I think Jefferson is going to be unstoppable this year, and I think if healthy, Dalvin Cook is going to carry them over the finish line. So
I can't envision Kirk Cousins holding that trophy. It looks funny to me.
Could you see Joe Flacco holding one?
I mean, I did.
I mean, we did, and he was MVP that year.
And he was at one point the highest paid quarterback in the league.
Quarterback in the NFL.
Absolutely.
You're right. It is in Arizona.
So crazier things have happened, but we will have to see how that goes for this year's Super Bowl winner. That means it is now time for top 5, our final segment of the week, because I don't think we're going to have time to talk about CM Punk. How much time we got, James?
We have 17 minutes total.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, if we can speed through that, maybe.
Well, I have no thoughts on it. I didn't watch it, so I don't even know what happened.
Maybe we'll do. Yeah. Okay. We'll probably have to put it off anyways. I'm sure we can talk about it next week because there's probably a whole lot of other. There's a lot more to this story that's probably going to come out.
Yeah.
But before we get to top 5, we did mention it off the top. This episode is brought to you by Now Your Treasures. Now Your Treasures are purveyors of licensed fine art prints from movies, comics, TV, and video games. Sourced from galleries in the US and UK, which include artists from all over the world. Visit Now Your Treasures at Now Your Treasures on Instagram and send them a DM 43.6 to receive 43% off on any order. All orders are shipped with tracking and have complimentary insurance. View the entire ever-expanding inventory at nowyourtreasures.ca or .com. That's N-O-W-Y-O-U-R-T-R-E-A-S-U-R-E-S.ca or .com. Send them a DM on Instagram, 43.6, and you will receive a 43% off any order.
Dude, that's close to half off. That's crazy.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
a good deal. And seeing some of these prints and like the
Frameable.
rarity of some of these,
Very frameable.
oh, like there was an X-Men set of 3 from it was drawn in the 90s style cartoon where it was like Rogue, Storm and Beast fighting like a Sentinel. And then the next panel was Jean and Cyclops fighting Magneto. And then the next panel was like Wolverine and Nightcrawler. And they were each 3 separate prints, but they were like 2-tone primary, like that reddish with like the navy blue. They were so cool.
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yo, boys, we made it. We're sponsored.
And now, everyone's favorite segment, the top 5 segment. And today we are talking about top 5 favorite chip flavors. We are going to go in reverse order, 5 to 1, your least favorite all the way up to your favorite. You have to mention the brand and the flavor of the chips. Before we get there, I'm going to throw this out there. And James, I'm thinking if we have to go long today, maybe we go a bit long. All that means is my headliner doesn't work as well as I want it to work, but that's not really that big of a deal. So we'll see how this goes. Let's try not to rush the chips because the chips might be quite the discussion.
Do cheesies count? Or is it
I mean-
strictly like potato
I think
crisp?
we're in potato chip land. We're not in snack food. We're in potato chip land. Let's keep it to
Okay,
chips.
we'll stick to potato chip.
Okay, so it has to be a chip of some variety, no Cheetos, no Funyuns.
No crispers.
My number 5. Brand Old Dutch.
You would be.
Flavor S&V. Just some salt and vinegar Old Dutch. It's a
Okay.
classic, it's a staple, you can't go wrong. For whatever reason, in my opinion, the Old Dutch brand is the best of all salt and vinegar. I know there's other ways you can go with that, but I just think it is very classic. It's just a perfect, simple chip.
Fine.
Okay. Maddie number 5.
I feel that, and I just want to precursor this discussion. Dustin, you're a smart guy. I like you. In a lot of ways,
Okay.
you're smarter than me. But Jim and me are Irish. We know potato a little better than you do.
Okay, sure.
No, all jokes aside. I would say my number 5, and this was a little tough because I was like, where do I want to like insert this? And it entered my number 5 strictly because that with a accoutrement, it's much better. But just like it's one of those ones where you typically have it with a dip, but just on itself, you're good. My number 5, Tostitos, hint of lime.
Whoa, that's a good one. I'm a big fan.
Okay, so I like Tostitos hint of lime. It's probably my favorite Tostitos. And I like saying the word Tostitos. But
You put a nice little like roll on it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting excited.
I don't think they're as good unless you're dipping them in salsa.
Well, no,
No,
that's what I
can-
say.
I
It's
can
like,
eat them
they're
plain.
that because like Tostitos you don't eat on their own, but the hint of lime, if you don't have salsa, you're okay. If you're craving like the crispy, the saltiness of like the crunch, you're good with it.
I can eat them plain. They're fine.
No, I can't do it. Like
They're good.
the only way I have
The
those
lime-
chips is if I'm dipping them in salsa or I'm putting shredded cheese on top of them and dropping them in the oven to
No,
make some nachos.
the lime seasoning when you get that on your tongue, it's good.
It's like when Taco Bell used to put like that lime zest in their tacos
Oh,
back in
so
the day.
good.
Oh,
Yeah,
god tier. But I like lime everything. Everyone knows that about me.
true.
James number.
Yeah. I'm gonna try and make this quick so we can actually get the shoutouts this week. So number 5, plain Ruffles, because
We just had this talk.
We had this discussion. I don't know if you were here like before we were starting to
No.
record. We were talking about the plain Ruffles, and we said, "Anyways, go on with you." What? Yeah.
okay, because they're just, but they're so salty. you really need to be careful. But when you hold, like they're the one you can see the grease in the
Yeah,
on them, and then you know it's
the
gonna
salt
be good.
spot.
Yeah, you know it's gonna be good. So,
Yeah.
and you find yourself, you're like, I'm gonna have a couple of these, and it's like, you know how Lay's bet you can't have just one. This is like, I have some with the onion dip or whatever, but then you don't even get the onion dip, and you're half a bag gone, and you're like, where did it go?
And they're bigger bags.
Yes,
No, I like that. That's a good number 5.
number 5.
We were saying that because Maddie posed the question, like, do dips count? And I said no, and I immediately knew he was going to Ruffles regular, plain, whatever, because that is the ultimate onion dip chip.
Oh, it is.
But if we're not counting dips, I don't think
I would
Ruffles
still.
makes
It's still number 5. You're
All right.
up.
My number 4, and this might be the brown in me, but I'm going
Tandoori?
with I'm going with no, I'm going with Miss Vicky's jalapeno chips.
Okay. No, those are good. That's not brown. That's
Well,
Mexican.
just because it's spicy.
Oh,
So what do you? That okay? So you could be like Spanish, you could be Mexican, you could be Southeast Asian, you could be you are Southeast Asian, but like, you could be Asian, you could be a
yeah,
myriad.
spicy
of
is
things for spice.
global, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying that because I grew up eating spicy food, I enjoy eating
It's a good
Miss
choice, though.
Vicky's jalapeno.
It's jalapeno cheddar, by the way.
No, not
Isn't
jalapeno
it?
cheddar. Just
Oh
jalapeno.
no, you're right. It is just
No,
jalapeno.
the green bag is jalapeno
Yeah.
cheddar,
No.
isn't it?
There is a green bag that's just Miss
No,
Vicky's
he's right.
jalapeno.
He's right. It's just jalapeno.
There may be a different shade of green that is jalapeno cheddar. I don't know, but there is one chip for Miss Vicky's that is just jalapeno. It's a green bag.
It's good.
Okay. Okay. My number 5 or 4.
Number 4. Yep.
My number 4. Lay's Dilly Picks.
I don't hate it. I
Dill
don't hate
pickles is
it. It almost made my list.
okay. I almost got in a fight in grade 8 over a bag of dill pickle chips because I went to buy one and some kid cut me in line and like grabbed it and then just dropped his money and walked away. And it was the last bag. And I was gonna beat the shit out of him. When I'm willing to beat the shit out of you for a bag of chips, it's entering my top 5. So Lay's dill pickle.
Number 4 for me, it's a little bit off the beaten path. And Dustin hates when I do this. He just wants all the mainstream, which is weird. But
I said Miss Vicky's jalapeno.
He said Old Dutch.
I said
Yeah.
Old Dutch.
Pringles barbecue. I love me some Pringles barbecue.
Okay.
See, look, he made the face. He just made the face.
I'm making a
Pringles-
face because I don't think Pringles is a good chip, period. And barbecue is probably the worst flavor of chips.
Dude, once you pop, the fun don't
Said it.
stop. That is a thing.
That's true. And then you could turn that thing into a putting cup.
Yeah,
Like when
or
you like in your backyard, you want to make a
telescope.
putting green, you can turn the white. I know white boys,
yeah, telescope. You know,
Okay.
but no, that's a good pick because like
I love
out
it.
of all the barbecue, the Pringles barbecue is I think the best.
yeah. Out of every barbecue chip that's out there, Pringles barbecue is my favorite barbecue chip.
Yeah. Okay, Dustin, you're number 3.
Number 3. Okay, so this is where the whole conversation essentially started when I started shitting on the sweet chili heat Doritos.
Speaking of which, you got a text from someone through me about this.
Yes, that's
Damn.
exactly what I'm talking about.
His
Okay,
wife
so I'll
was
let you
pissed.
go on.
Well, you might as well explain what happened.
I'm sitting there enjoying my day and I'm just playing some Final Fantasy as I do when I'm left onto my own devices and it's like a Saturday. My wife's doing some running around and I get a text. She says to me, Dustin is insane, or something along the lines of, what is Dustin talking about? He's stupid. Sweet chili heat is the best. I'm looking for it because I think I sent it in the chat to you in our group thing.
Anyway,
you may
we've only
have.
got 7 minutes.
Okay, yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, we're probably
Dustin is
gonna have
crazy.
to go
Sweet
over.
chili heat is the best Doritos flavor. That's what she said.
What's
So,
your
yeah,
pick, though?
anyway.
So what I'm going with that is, yes, sweet chili heat is the dirt worst Dorito.
Well, it's on my
And-
list, so you can suck it.
My favorite Dorito is what is number 3, and that is the orange bag that you only get up
Zesty.
here in Canada. The zesty mordant.
It's a good
Doritos.
chip. It's a good chip.
It's fine. It's serviceable if there's nothing else around.
It's good. Maddie, you're up.
My number 3, I would have to say, is Miss Vicky's original.
Very
Damn
good.
it, guys.
The base original Miss Vicky's, salty, crunchy, ultra crunchy. It's fantastic. Although if you get a big bag, it hurts your jaw after a while. So you always get the small bag, but whatever.
James, number 3.
My number 3 is actually Miss Vicky's sea salt and malt vinegar. Big fan of the and I don't like malt vinegar, but I like the sea salt and malt vinegar. I don't know what it is. It's the combination of the Miss Vicky's chip with the sea salt and the malt vinegar that makes it palatable for me. So much so that it's actually number 3 on my list. So yes,
I can't hate you on that one. I had Old Dutch salt and vinegar on my list, and sea salt and malt vinegar is pretty solid too. So as much as I like to shit on your list, I can't complain about that one. There's a theme here in my top 3, and it's all like very iconic Canadian things, and I think you'll understand what I mean by that. So number 2 is Lay's, and it's the red bag.
Ketchup.
You know what you're getting. That's the ketchup, boys. And
Yeah.
no one's going to get that unless you're from Canada. But Lay's ketchup is a staple around these parts, okay? I will not have any blasphemous ill will being spoke about my Lay's ketchup chips. If you haven't tried it, don't be talking shit.
I will say this. The ketchup chip's one of those ones that I never think about, but then when I have it, it's crush the bag time.
It hits, man. It hits.
Yeah, it slaps, as the kids say. No, that's a good one. I like it. That was almost gonna enter my top 5, but because like I don't have it as often, it's hard, although I truly enjoy it. But my number 2, Pringles S&V.
oh, good
Man, a
one.
lot of S&V love on this list.
I love salt and vinegar.
Yeah,
It is arguably my favorite chip. I was tempted to do number 1, 2, both salt and vinegar with just different brands, but I'm like, I can't do that. That's a little gully. But no, Pringles salt and vinegar, mostly because it's also a nostalgia factor. I've eaten a lot of salt and vinegar Pringles chips while sitting like gaming or watching something. So like not only the taste, but the memories that come with it.
it's good.
James, 2.
I was gonna that one would almost made my list too, but then it just would have been all Pringles, and then Dustin was like, we did Pringles. Number 2 is the villain of this list, and is Sweet Chili Heat Doritos. Is number 2. I crushed so much Sweet Chili Heat in college, you have no idea. Like, I would just, I would go home, smoke pot, and just clear a bag of Sweet Chili Heat Doritos. It is the ultimate baked treat. And yeah, man, even to this day, you get a nice bottle of Coke Zero, some Sweet Chili Heat. I might go down to the store after this. You get a nice Coke Zero, Sweet Chili Heat Doritos, have myself a night.
I like it.
I'm trying to find a conversation I had with my buddy Ryan where he's like, James has the worst taste ever, and I don't. I can't find the text. I can't find the text right now, but I know that answer is gonna set him off as well.
Can you send me the link to your buddy Ryan's podcast?
Just review bomb it.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
no, he doesn't have one.
All right. So number 1. Here's the most important spot on this list. And again, like I said, my top 3 is iconically Canadian brands. And
I think I know what this
iconically
is.
Canadian flavors. And I hope to God you guys have this as number 1 too, because this is the pinnacle of potato chips. This is the one you always reach for every single time. This is Ruffles all dressed.
I knew it.
It is.
I gotta taste the headphone. I thought that was perfect.
I knocked my headphone out. I was so excited. Okay.
It's actually, you know what? It's not on my list, but
not.
it should be. It's a fantastic chip.
Yo, I'm thinking, Jim's, this weekend, maybe we grab a bag. Introduce your daughter to some all dress because she loves the chippies.
Yeah, we'll see. It might be
she
too
doesn't
much
like
flavor
spicy
to handle at this age, but yeah, this is a good one. It's a classic.
Okay, I struggled with this one, and it's not necessarily what flavor I love the most, but what I always default to when I'm getting a craving. And it's not all dressed, it's not ketchup, it's not like an iconic Canadian. It's just the golden potato Lay's original.
For fuck's sake.
It's just honestly, it's when you're inundated with so many flavors, it's just there. It's a staple. It's consistent.
Bro, you have a Tostitos hint of lime, Lay's dilly, I'll give you that one. Then Miss Vicky's OG. And now another OG. You have 3 OGs on here. Well, I guess hint of lime's not really OG, but anyways.
No, hint of lime's not OG. That's
It's
more ethnic than your jalapeno.
but it's a hint. It's not like you're buying the lime chips. You're buying a hint of lime.
Yeah, because I'm cultured and I don't need to be overpowered with my flavors. But no, just it's because it's a staple. It's
It
consistent.
is. Yeah, fair enough. All right, James, you're number one, and then maybe we have time for shoutouts. Maybe not.
We're gonna go over, so we're good. We'll just do.
Are we already over?
Yeah, we're 159. So we're going long.
Okay. We're going long today. We're probably gonna talk about CM Punk though.
We're not gonna talk about CM Punk.
I said we can now that we're already over.
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Because there's some new developments, we should touch on that. Mine's number one's relatively new, and it might be special edition, but I saw it back on a shelf the other day, and I was like, oh, thank God. You know what, Dustin, you should actually be on board with this, because there's a little bit of you in everything that I've just said. Like, it represents all of you, and this should be your favorite chip. And that is...
It can be like some like Indian masala one.
Listen, I'm funny, not racist. Sure. The chip is Miss Vicky's spicy ketchup. It is the best fucking potato chip I've ever had in my entire life. It's the spiciness that you said because you're a brown guy. It's got spicy for you. It's got the ketchup that you already had on your list, and it's Miss Vicky's. Dude, it is so good.
My wife hunted it down at Costco one day.
It is fan-fucking-tastic.
You have 2 bites. You're like, I don't know if I like this. And then the bag's gone. You're like, that was amazing.
Yeah.
It's a religious experience.
Best chip I've ever had in my entire life. And they make the spicy dill pickle too, which, very good, but not on spicy ketchup level.
There's a spicy dill?
Dude, yes.
I didn't know this.
Yes.
Hey, make a spicy dill.
That's funny.
I might have to get that this weekend.
Do you wanna do Punk or shoutouts?
Let's save Punk because there's developments and it sounds like I can button this in.
We should talk Punk now though, because tomorrow's Wednesday, so we should at least briefly talk about it.
Okay.
I don't even know what happened. So
this is the story. So AEW had their All Out pay-per-view in Chicago on Sunday night.
Yeah.
And CM Punk was in the main event, and he had a match with John Moxley, and it was a good match, and CM Punk won the World Championship. Cool. After the show, AEW does a media press conference, media scrum kind of thing.
Which is like half in character for Maddie, who doesn't know or watch this. It's like half in character and half out of character with Tony Khan. So like he's sitting there with the talent coming in and out, and sometimes they're in character, but like Chris Jericho spoke entirely out of character.
Right. So it is kind of a weird gray area. Like the tag champs, Swerve and Keith Lee were almost entirely in character. And I think Tony Storm was so it's gray. Like you don't really know what these guys are going to say when they get up to these microphones. And it's, I mean, legitimate as wrestling media can be. It is the legitimate wrestling media. You know, Brian Alvarez is there, Dave Meltzer is there. I don't think Sean Ross Sapp was there, but like he sends people from Fightful. So Denise Salcedo was there. Like, so it's like the people that you trust in. Nick Houseman was there too. Like it's the people that you trust in wrestling journalism were there asking questions at this press conference. So CM Punk was the first guy, and the benches are now clearing at the Blue Jays game, which is interesting.
Appropriate.
Yeah. Spoiler alert for Maddie, who's on a few seconds delayed than I am.
Well, yeah, because they just tied it up, no?
I have no idea what the score is.
6-6.
So Punk sits down, and Nick Houseman was going to ask him the first question. And before Nick even asked the question, Punk immediately just said, "Hey, Nick, I got a question for you." So he's asking the reporters the questions, and he's asking if he's friends with Colt Cabana. And Nick's like, "No, I'm not friends with Colt." And basically, Punk's issue is that at some point back in May, maybe it wasn't even back in May, whatever it was, at some point in the wrestling media, people were talking about the legal issue between CM Punk and Colt Cabana, and people were talking about when Colt Cabana supposedly got moved from the AEW roster to the Ring of Honor roster, so essentially demoted. And there were people speculating that because of Punk's no longer relationship with Colt Cabana, that Punk had something to do with moving Cabana off the AEW roster to the Ring of Honor roster. Some like people were speculating that CM Punk's here now, so he doesn't want to work with Colt Cabana, so he got him like demoted to Ring of Honor. Punk obviously was not very happy about this.
But wait,
so
it's not speculation. It's not entirely speculation because the locker room was talking about it. Because Nick Houseman apparently got his information from.
Well, okay, so I don't know who specifically Nick Houseman got his information from. It was alluded by Punk that he got this information from the Young Bucks
And Hangman Page.
I don't know if that's where, or Hangman Page or whomever. Like, so that
group,
elite, we'll call it. There's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah.
So Punk was very upset about this whole situation. For whatever reason, he took this opportunity to just tear into Colt Cabana. Like, just totally murder this guy on live on this press conference. And I mean, the impression I got is that he's like, I don't have anything to do with this guy. I don't care where he works. Like, I don't want anything to do with this guy. I don't care. Stop asking me about him. I'm done with this. There's probably a better way to have said that, but I mean, he's Punk. He's very, bold and hard-nosed sometimes in the way he says things.
And it's been how long? It's been a decade, right? And people are still giving a shit who this guy's friends with. Like, I can't fault him for being that upset. Like, watch the clip, Matt. It's worth watching. The
I'll
10,
watch
15.
It on mute while you guys talk about it.
It's like 23 minutes.
Yeah, it's
you'll have. I'll fast forward.
But he basically goes off saying like, "Fuck Scott Colton. He's a piece of shit. He has a bank account with his mother. Like, he's like, I paid all his legal bills. I told him to fuck off. Like, he sued me anyway. Like, there's a lot, like you said, to unpack into that. But he basically laid everything out on the table so people would shut the fuck up. So that part about Punk, and like you said, while brash and insulting to Colt, I also, like, man, after a decade of people being like, what happened between you and Colt? Why are you fucking Colt over? What happened? Colt, like, at some point you're probably just like, man, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, so into fairness to Punk, you're right. The narrative always was that Cabana's the good dude and Punk fucked him over and no one understood why. And Punk never talked about it. Like, he never defended himself on it. And
because he said, when you defend yourself, it sounds like you're defending yourself. That's what he said. He said that verbatim in the press conference. He never defended himself because then it just sounds like you're defending yourself.
Right. So, and the reason why he went up there and started spewing all this, like we said, like happened 10 years ago, is because of the situation with Adam Page, where back in May, when Adam Page and CM Punk were having their world title match, for whatever reason, Adam Page decided to do a promo on CM Punk that was very heavily referencing his relationship with Colt Cabana and how he's like wants to win this match to defend AEW from CM Punk, like as if CM Punk's like the bad guy coming in and you don't belong here. I stand with Colt Cabana and like fuck this guy, sort of thing. Obviously, I'm completely paraphrasing what he said. That is not word for word what Adam Page said, but that was the impression that, at least based on what CM Punk had said on Sunday night / Monday morning, he was upset about what Adam Page did in the ring that night, when the goal is supposed to be, let's get people to buy this pay-per-view, instead of let's bring up all this old shit about something that doesn't matter, has nothing to do with any of this. This is a personal issue that you're bringing into this that has nothing to do with this World Championship match. They have the match. Punk gets hurt. He goes away. And then essentially the next time he's able to talk on TV is months later. And so I think that's why there's this disconnect of what's going on, because Adam Page did this thing in May. And then it's not until August when Punk comes back and retaliates for something that happened in May. And I think that's where some people are looking at it and saying like, well, Punk's the asshole for just totally burying.
Which he admittedly said he should never have done. He's like, I lowered myself to that level and I shouldn't have done it.
Right. So if you don't know what we're talking about, when CM Punk made his comeback from injury, he's in a championship match against Jon Moxley, but he takes the microphone on live television. He comes out and he says, okay, so Adam Page, like, you just essentially call it Adam Page.
Rematch?
Names.
Come on, yeah. It says it's not, he calls him out, and he knows Adam Page can't come out there. Like, he's either not there or like He's like, there's like, he knows that he's not coming. So
Right, like we know this segment has 8 minutes. The segment is to consist of CM Punk and John Moxley, so I can't just go walk out there with a microphone. Like that's
so then
like,
when he doesn't go out there, he says that's not cowboy shit, it's coward shit, right?
Yeah.
So he basically buries the fuck out of Paige on live TV.
And so Punk then, during this media scrum, explained why he did all this, and he explained because it was the thing with Colt Cabana, and he explained that he isn't exactly a fan of Adam Page because he thinks, and he has some choice words, and he, as he explained who he thinks Adam Page is, and called him a bit like an idiot and blah blah.
Yeah.
Then he openly said something along the lines of like, this happened because we have like morons who are AVPs, or excuse me, EVPs, and obviously referencing the Young Bucks. And man, like the guy went on for like 10 minutes. It felt like 10 minutes. Maybe it was less than that. He went on for a long time. And when no one asked him a question, like Nick Housen was literally just about to ask him a question. And then he just went on a rant about Cabana, about Page, and about the
Elite,
Bucks.
yeah.
And if you look at it in context, they're not necessarily his direct boss, but like they are executive vice presidents of the company that you work for. And you are openly, publicly, like just burying these guys.
So wait, before we move forward here, there's a couple things to level set. Number one, having workers in that position has never, like active roster members, has never panned out. It didn't work for WCW, right? It caused so many problems. It's probably not a good idea here. Like, you know what I mean? Because Page lost the title to Punk, and I gotta believe there's some professional jealousy there that's also underlying, right?
For sure.
Punk was brought in, and you can't deny took AEW to a different stratosphere. Like, he sells tickets. He moves the needle for that company. Maybe he's not a needle mover in the way Roman Reigns is, the whole needle mover comment, but he does for that company, right? To get them to the next step. And he said also that these guys don't take advice from vets. Like Adam Page said, I don't need to listen to these people. I'm good. And he raised a good point. Like, you should be open. The amount of minds they have in that locker room between, like he said, Malenko, Mark Henry, like there's people that they should be listening to. I don't, like, they're still young. Well, not the Bucks and Omega aren't very young, but Adam Page is very old.
He's still in his 20s.
Like, there's a lot, you know.
I think he's still in his 20s, but yeah, he's relatively speaking for a professional wrestler. Adam Page is very young.
There's a lot. I think they set that up in a very combustible framework. Like, I don't believe, and I believe that's probably why Cody is no longer there.
So that's an entirely different conversation. I think you're right. And I think Cody is definitely got his feet up right now. And obviously he's injured and recovering, but like metaphorically speaking, he has his feet up looking at back at AEW and thinking, oof, I got out of there at the right time, right?
Yeah.
So ultimately it's hard to formulate an opinion on this because I feel like it's something we've heard of for a long time, that there is a divide in this locker room, and there's like the guys who are professional wrestling guys, and there's the guys who are the, I don't know, I'll call it the new way of doing professional wrestling. You have the wrestlers, and you have, for lack of a better word, dancers. And what I mean by dancers are the guys who are they're more performers than they are like wrestlers. And I'm not trying to be pejorative in any way, but I think Kenny Omega would agree with that assessment, that he is a performing artist more than a professional wrestler. But if I were to go to FTR and call them performing artists, they would punch me in the face. So I think there's a clear delineation of like, there's that type of wrestler and there's that type of wrestler. And AEW has both of them. And for a long time, the Young Bucks and Omega and Page and all those guys who being considered, you know, as the elite, the executive vice presidents of this company were the guys, and they were the ones who were promoted as top guys. They were the ones who were at the top of the cards. But then slowly, Bryan Danielson comes in, CM Punk comes in, FTR comes in, and Claudio Castagnoli comes in. And all of a sudden, the entire landscape of that company is changing. There may be some resentment for that. And I don't know who's right or who's wrong in this situation. I can see both sides of it. I think if it was me and I was in that company, I probably would be on the side of CM Punk just because I'm more of a traditional wrestling fan. Like, I would be the guy who would go to Jerry Lynn for advice. I would be the guy who would go to Jim Ross for advice. I wouldn't be the one saying, fuck these guys.
Right.
But,
he did say something interesting. He said, what did I ever do to deserve the perception and treatment he gets? Everything we've heard has always been that it's rumored that he's difficult to work with, right? But like, what's difficult to work with? Like, we don't know what, like, two things can be true here. One, he's right in everything he said. Two, he handled it very poorly. Like, those things can both be true.
It's the Kobe thing.
Yeah, like he said these guys couldn't manage a target, but he's probably.
I mean,
he's probably right.
That's the thing about Punk, because he's so articulate and he's so funny, but
it's insulting.
It's insulting, right? Like, you're talking about essentially not necessarily your bosses, but you're talking about the executive vice presidents of this company that can't run a target. Is what you said. And
he is smarter than they are. Like, objectively speaking, he's a smarter guy than a lot of those guys are. Like, you can tell just, again, by the way he talks and presents himself. He's not a fucking moron. He's not. Even the way he was talking about, listen, he said he's there to the house. He's there to sell tickets. He's there to help Tony Khan make money. Like, he's not there to get himself over. Like, he has nothing to get over.
Well, no, and I think he proved that with the title situation with Moxley. Like, him losing the Unification Undisputed Championship
in 3 seconds
was done to elevate Jon Moxley. Because when Moxley was interim champion, I don't think anyone in the world believed that Moxley was going to beat Punk. Like, you understand Punk is here and everyone else is here. But when they did the Unification match and Moxley beat his ass in a minute, it was like, oh. Now all of a sudden people will now see Moxley on the same level.
And now you're buying the pay-per-view. You're selling tickets. So when you do
the pay-per-view, you're selling tickets. People are more interested in Moxley versus Punk after Moxley squashed Punk. Like, yes. You're trying to get... So I understand what he means, and I understand that he is there to help the company. I believe all of these things. But Punk has a prickliness to him where he can come off the wrong way to certain people, and I don't think he cares whether he does or he doesn't. He just does what he wants to do. And sometimes that doesn't make you the most liked person in the locker room. So much so that after the press conference, and this is where the things get sketchy, because all we know for sure, based on the reports that we have heard so far at this moment,
a security guard took off. On video, security guard took off.
Yeah, so we know there was a commotion and like police officers were running out the door towards the commotion. So we know that for sure based on reporters who were in the room when it happened. There was reports from people who were not CM Punk and not the Young Bucks and not Kenny Omega and not Ace Steel. So an unnamed source who was there reported that the Young Bucks confronted CM Punk in the locker room.
Like he asked him to do. He said, come find me.
Well, I mean, I think he was speaking like he said it more aggressively than he probably needed.
No, he said, if you have a problem with me, come find me and we'll talk about it. So he did invite people to find him.
But I mean, I think anyone would say that in that situation.
I know, yeah.
Where it's like, if you have a problem with me, come see. Like, I think what he's trying. I think you also have to like.
He was baiting. He was baiting them.
I don't know if he was baiting. So that's what I mean. Like, I don't think that was his intent. I could be wrong. I'm just reading intent, obviously. But I think you also have to listen to CM Punk and like almost use like a translation in your brain. Like he's just a very brash guy. I don't think he was necessarily challenging anyone to a fight. I think what he was just trying to say was, let's sort this shit out. If you have a problem with me, let's talk about it. Now, he didn't necessarily use those words specifically, and it may have come off as sounding like a fight, a challenge to a fight, which is what it sounded like ensued, where Punk supposedly went back to his locker room. I think Ace Steel was already there, and the Bucks came storming in, and there was some sort of altercation. Supposedly, according to reports, Punk punched Nick Jackson, or Matt Jackson, excuse me. Ace Steel supposedly threw a chair at Nick Jackson.
It knocked him out,
and then
apparently.
I mean, yeah, and supposedly,
And he
Ace Steel also pulled Kenny Omega's hair and bit him. He bit a man. Now,
Nice.
this is, again, like, we don't have confirmation of any of this. This is the story that's floating around. There are a number of guys who are scheduled for TV Wednesday who are not going to be there now, supposedly. And we're not going to know until Wednesday happens, but that might indicate that a number of guys have been suspended because of this. But man, like, that's just this shit's getting out of control to where these guys are like trying to kill each other in the locker room instead of like making money off this.
Well, inmates are running the asylum now, right?
And that's the problem I say with having talent in that position.
Exactly.
Is never a good idea. Apparently, Sean Ross Sapp said Punk is going to have to make major amends to remain with the company. But to me,
Do you think he gives a shit though?
as a business person, I think you're betting on the wrong horse here.
I agree.
As a
So-
business person,
I like where you're going with this. So if I'm Tony Khan, I'm putting on the hat of the owner of the company. There's two ways to look at it. Who is your biggest star in the situation? It's not even close. It's CM Punk. Okay, so you keep Punk. Can I still operate without Nick, Matt, Kenny, and Paige? You can.
they basically
But
have.
those are, and it's a good point. You basically have.
Kenny Omega's
because-
been gone for almost 2 years. The Young Bucks were relegated to mid-card feuds. Hangman was gone. They basically weren't there.
But and here's the issue that they may be looking at. That's 4 guys I would have to get rid of. That's 4 salaries that I'm not paying anymore. That's 4 guys who have office jobs. There's Kenny Omega supposedly. I don't know to what capacity, but Kenny Omega is in charge of this video game project.
Yeah.
Like there's 4 positions you're going to have to fill because of this whole scenario. So then the other thing is, okay, well, maybe we just get rid of the guy who bit somebody. And you say, well, maybe we don't need Ace Steel around, which I can understand. It's probably a reasonable thing to do. And I'm not asking for anyone to get fired. I don't want to see anyone lose their job. But if that was the thought process and you say, okay, well, it was a pretty serious assault, probably shouldn't have done that. Not to mention he threw the chair at him, at an executive vice president. Like you assaulted an executive vice president and bit him. But I can also see the scenario where CM Punk is like, if you're firing Ace Steel, I'm leaving.
Yep.
And maybe that's where the issue is here now, where they're pretty much convinced that they're shipping out Ace Steel, and Punk is like, well, if he's going, I'm going.
To be honest, I think they need to just find a room to figure out like where they're like put them on far sides of the room, and they gotta figure they're all infinitely stronger together than they are apart. And that's what I think these people fail to realize, is that regardless of who comes in, whether it's Claudio, Malachi Black, I think he's on the way out, but like it's for the betterment of the company. Like you're stronger as a sum of the parts than you would be losing some of them. And if they can all put their shit to rest, it would be an infinitely better position for all of them. Punk makes more money with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega being in that company. Like he does, right? Because they are seasoning on the product. They may not be the meat anymore, but they are a very tasty seasoning. Punk is going to make the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega a shit ton more money. then they would have. Figure it out. Like, again, the problem comes with having guys in positions, because Tony Khan can't turn around and be like, listen, he can, but they have a leg to stand on to say, you can't talk to me like that, Tony, right? Like, if they were his employees as workers, he can be like, listen, stay the fucking line. But he didn't do that. Right? So we'll see what happens, man. Wednesday's gonna be weird. And listen, part of me for half a second was like, Tony Khan kept saying, people don't like each other, they don't always get along, they'll say things, but it makes it interesting, and you know, it makes for great. And part of me thought maybe this is just all made up, but the reports, like yeah, right, but the reports of people getting bitten and like knocked out, like it can't, like, and the stuff that he said about Colt, like, no, there's no way Colt was like, yeah, go, it'll be great, like, say that, like, there's no way.
No, I don't think there's a way that any of this
I think Tony's trying to spin it so that it's a benefit.
I think that's what he needs to do,
right? Like,
so
tune into Dynamite, see what happens.
Exactly. So I think for the good of the company and for the good of business, these guys need to put their shit aside, and your next pay-per-view is, you know, CM Punk versus Kenny Omega, and off to the races you go. That'll be the biggest buy rate your pay-per-view will ever have.
Because I started thinking about it.
Working stiff at that point, though, with someone that he really doesn't like.
But here's the thing: if you're the Bucks or you're Kenny Omega, listen, I don't care how good of pro wrestlers you think you are, and I don't care how shitty of a UFC fighter you think CM Punk is. CM Punk did kind of fight in the UFC. Like, in a real fight, he probably beats the shit out of those guys. Like,
I mean, if we're taking bets on a real fight, I probably would take CM Punk. But I mean, Punk is also old and beat up, so who knows?
True.
But
maybe this is all setting up a big trios match. Punk and FTR versus Kenny and the Young Bucks.
Yeah. I mean, there's money to be made here. And it all depends on how they proceed going forward.
And maybe, you know what? Maybe for those guys, they're looking at the new WWE landscape and being like, there are options if it doesn't work out here anymore.
Well, you know, that's a good point. I don't think the Bucks have options. I think they burned their bridge with New Japan.
I think they can go to. I think Triple H would take them in a heartbeat.
I don't.
No?
I think Triple H would want nothing to do with those guys, to be honest. And also consider...
You don't think that Kevin Owens, who Triple H loves, wouldn't be able to be like, these are my best friends?
Nope.
That's not how WWE works, though.
I mean, I think it is now. I think you're right, Matt. Like, based on the Vince McMahon era, like, Vince would have absolutely nothing to do with these guys. But with Triple H, you're right. James, I think he would go to Kevin and get an opinion. Or Kevin, like, he would listen to Kevin if he gave him one. But I think he'd also listen to Cody.
True. And Cody's a much bigger star than all three of them.
And I don't know. We still have no idea what happened with Cody and the Bucks. But the fact that Cody doesn't work there anymore, he gave up an executive vice president job to go back to WWE where he hated it. Like, I don't know. It'll be interesting.
That's what I mean.
I honestly
right?
don't think the Bucks have anywhere else to go, because assuming I'm right, if Triple H isn't interested, and if, as I'm assuming, New Japan has no interest in them, what are they?
That's what I mean, right? Like,
but this screams to me. It's like, if they have issues in New Japan and they don't want them, and then, like, as you say, WWE wants nothing to do with them. That lends to me to more say Punk would be in the right when it comes to it with them, because the issue typically lies with them if they're getting thrown out or people just don't want to deal with them.
And that's kind of what I was going to get at too. That's exactly the point I was going to make. Like, everyone sits here and shit out Punk this. Punk's terrible to work with. Yo, WWE would have brought Punk back. They allowed.
I think now more than ever they would.
They allowed him to work on the Fox show, and I know it's not entirely, but like, you got to imagine they had some say in
there
Fox.
Was a lane.
They gave an okay. They blessed Punk being on the Fox show. They did. Because
if they really didn't want it, that gets cut.
Okay, so how about this? You're Triple H.
Would
you rather? Yeah, you're already answering. You already know where I'm going. Would you rather have CM Punk, or would you rather have the Bucks, Omega, and Page?
Punk.
I think you have Punk just because I think not only long term in terms of understanding the business, capability, ability, he draws more. The pop and the initial response to him coming back would eclipse anything long term. Just in Punk short term would eclipse anything those guys would bring to the WWE. Those
Yeah.
guys might get like a, oh cool, it's something new, it's something fresh, and then in 3 weeks no one gives a shit because they're probably opening a Raw.
Yeah, I mean, there's history there too, right? Like, there's history you can build on. They have no history. They're just guys, guy A and B coming over.
But like you guys said earlier, where how they're performers and Punk is a wrestler, right? Like those guys are dancers and Punk's more of it's the same thing with like music, right? You have people who are artists and you have people who are great performers.
Yeah, you have pop music and you have punk rock.
Yes. You have Coheed and you have
One
Avril
Direction.
Lavigne. One Direction, whatever.
And
Same thing.
both are very popular to different audiences.
Yeah.
So I'm not like trying to down talk one over the other. It's just different. They are different things.
It's a weird
If
situation.
you're young and just into wrestling now, you like the Young Bucks. If you're me, who used to love it and sit there and watch it every week, whatever, you like the old school guys that bring the actual technical aspect to the show.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, man. I don't think we've ever seen anything like this. We're at 2.5 hours though.
Yeah, probably time to start wrapping. Are we doing a shout outs?
Yeah, we can do it real quick.
Quick shout out.
Let's do it. That's right, it's time for shout outs. It is one of our favorite topics of the week, mainly just because I can hear that Maven entrance music, which is probably the best entrance music in the history of the WWE. Well, at least one of them. My shout out this week goes to, and I've already lost it. Oh, there it is. It goes to a restaurant called Barrio in Tremont, Ohio.
The taco
I don't know
place.
if Tremont is technically a town, but it's in Cleveland. Tremont's the area of Ohio. Anyways, really cool Mexican place that was like hop, skip, and jump right away from our Airbnb on Sunday. And dude, the chorizo queso dip to start, and we had these tacos that were just like Coca-Cola marinated steak, and it was just fantastic, incredible. So if you're in the Cleveland area, check out Barrio. They're awesome.
My shout out is to the people I sat around at the TFC game when I sat down, clearly a new football fan, and said, man, if we lose 3-2, that would suck. And then we ended up losing 4-3, and all these football fans who are clearly diehard football fans and are much larger football fans than I didn't immediately beat the shit out of me in hooligan fashion. So I'm going to give them a shout out because it was actually, you know what? Again, even in terms of a sports crowd, the most least belligerent, annoying, there wasn't a lot of drunks saying dumb shit. It wasn't, maybe it's because they're not depressed like Leaf fans or bored like Jays fans. It's like that happy medium. So yeah, people sitting around me making sure that when I say dumb shit and it turns out to be true, they didn't beat me up.
Mine goes to, and this is more directly sports related, I guess, but for dude who got shit on for a couple weeks, shout out to Boba Fett for telling people to shut up and doing 3 homers and then cranking one today, even though they're kind of losing right now. But shout out to that dude for not getting distracted by it all and just saying, you know what, F you, and going out there and showing them how it's done.
And that is how this show is done. And shout out to you for subscribing and for listening and for sharing with your friends. We greatly appreciate it. We will see you next week for episode 22 of 43.6, the sports podcast you always wanted.